Really weren't a lot of thunderstorms earlier today, and we have a lot of Gulf moisture streaming right into these storms. So it's prime conditions for the possibility of a tornado to develop. It's been some time now since we've had a report of a tornado in Kiowa County. That was about 10 minutes ago or so, but of course we've got our spotters out in the field watching this storm carefully as it continues to lift up toward the north. Let us know if it does look like going to be another tornado out of this. Again, we're going to be, of course, the sun has, and in fact, the lightning is kind of looking like with this thunderstorm. We'll give the computer a second. There has been some lightning with this. Lightning strikes, but with any bit of lightning that we do have, that's going to help storm spotters be able to identify this tornado if it is still on the ground. But again, getting closer to Greensburg now, lifting northeast. Whether or not it would make a direct impact on Greensburg, going to be a close call, but we'll just keep a watch on it as it continues to move north. Ross.
And Peyton, there is in this area confirmed there's an ongoing tornado here south of Greensburg, and that the wind sampling of the storm continues to look very intense right on 183 straight south out of Greensburg. Again, the pictures that you're looking at on the left, I know without much lightning it might look like it's a still shot, but that's a live picture coming in from Taylor Wright, who's in that area. He himself cannot confirm that there's a tornado with the storm, but there are other chasers in this area that are confirming that there is an ongoing tornado, and that radar sampling there south on 183 looks a little concerning to me that there is more than likely, again, this is just based solely off of my assessment of radar, that there is more than likely an ongoing tornado there on 183. Again, as far as what we're talking about when it comes to distance, and let me just tell you, if you're joining our coverage right now, this is really the only thing of significance that's out there at the present time. So this is why we're keeping a lot of our focus on what's happening right here in the Greensburg area. But again, this is a circulation that's south of Green, and be very, very close to those of you in Greensburg. Back to the radar, and we can get another look at this here. Again, the area we're looking at is going to be right here, right there along 183. You can't really miss it. The strong greens, that's going to be wind going in toward Dodge. Red is away. And this couplet now, the circulation is right there along 183. If that trajectory holds, it is probably go south of Greensburg, but it's so close. I mean, we're looking at 25th Avenue now. It's going to be east of there. There's 30th Avenue and 183, about miles to the south of Greensburg. Got it. For again, okay, so we do have Taylor Wright back on the phone. Taylor, we've been watching your stream. Have you seen anything change since we last talked with you?
Yeah, looks like tornado on the ground. We're about 3 miles south of it. Just had power flashes across 183. We're keeping an eye. I don't know if you can see on the stream, Ross, but intermittent flashes of lightning, you might be able to tell. But it does look like this is on the ground. It was for sure about 5 minutes ago. We saw 2 on the ground.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely see the flashes there.
Yep.
Okay, and so Taylor,
so we're
go ahead and give us an update. You're on 183, is that correct?
Yeah, and we're just south of Greensburg going north.
Okay.
We're about we're about 7 or 8 miles south of Greensburg here.
Okay, let's, guys in the control room, we'll just keep this stream up as long as it's available to us. I know there may be some times where it ducks in and out, but yes, as the camera swung around, we did see about 2 different power flashes there, which would, of course, indicate that would be all the reason that you would need right there to remain sheltered from the storm. If you're in Greensburg, again, we can't stress it enough. This is an ongoing tornado threat here just to the south of Greensburg, and it is definitely ramping up and continuing to look quite strong. If there's any sliver of hope, it looks like this storm, you know, I was here the night Greensburg hit back. It looks like it's a little further east. And if the radar trends continue to hold, will probably pass southeast of Greensburg. But again, this is close. I mean, this is a very, very close call for Greensburg. But I think, based on what I can see here, I think that trajectory would just keep it east of Greensburg. I do need a chance here. Let's take the radar full time. I'll kind of expand out, and we'll send it over to Peyton here shortly. I do want you to see where Greensburg falls into this. Again, Taylor's on 183, and this circulation is going just to the south and east of Greensburg. Peyton, what else?
Just checking in, Dodge City is going tornado emergency for Greensburg. Basically what that means is that Weather Service thinks this is going to be a very close call for Greensburg. That's our highest level of tornado warning, is a tornado emergency. So tornado emergency for Greensburg till 10:30. That's that new polygon that has popped up here for Kiowa County. So take your tornado precautions in Greensburg. Again, we'll hope, as Ross is saying, we'll hope this will go just east of town, but it is looking like it is going to be a close call. And again, National Weather Service just now at 9:48 saying a tornado emergency for Greensburg. A tornado is near town and moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So that's the very latest there.
And Peyton, you and I both know that these things are not something that are just issued on a regular basis. I mean, a tornado emergency is saved for the most significant and rare events. Even tonight with Grinnell, taken for example, sustained damage there. There was no tornado emergency issued. Now, the outcome for Greensburg could be different than what we saw earlier tonight in Grinnell, but that's the highest level of warning that we can give to you. Let's bring Taylor's pictures back in. Again, we had power flashes, and if you were with us about 10 minutes ago, we were able to see that. Now, here's the issue for Taylor, because he's on 183 as he continues to come up from the south. Those power lines are going to be problematic, and eventually there's going to be some chance that that road is shut down, and that may be what you're looking at there in the live stream. But again, this is a tornado emergency that's been issued for Greensburg, but we think, based on the way that 2007 evolved and watching the radar returns there and what's playing out tonight, this circulation to me looks like it's going to go just southeast of Greensburg, but we need those of you in Greensburg sheltered, and especially Haviland. We don't want to overlook Haviland, a small town that's just east of Greensburg, because if this storm continues on that path, and I don't see any weakening in the radar return here, one would believe that that will make a pass east of Greensburg. We're probably, and again, Peyton can maybe update on this too, it's probably about 15 minutes away from crossing Highway 400. So if we see Greensburg, the south and east of there, one might expect that it will cross Highway 400 here in about 15 minutes. But again, this thing is really ramped up, and it does continue to go on to the northeast. It's been a little while since we've checked to see if we can pick three. I don't see anything from this view. That doesn't mean anything right now, because we've got eyewitness accounts from the field reporting power flashes south of Greensburg. Now, again, if you're just joining our coverage, we do have a tornado emergency for Greensburg, but it's looking like there's a chance that the tornado will pass to the southeast of Greensburg. This thing is very intense now. Again, east of 183, south of Greensburg, and this is Highway 400, and we'll see here. Let's try to bring Haviland into view. There it is. Okay, so Haviland, it's kind of looking like it's going to go just southeast of Greensburg and maybe pass in between those communities. But as we saw a little while ago, you know, the storm took a little bit of a jog further north, and now it's uncomfortably close to the Greensburg area. Pictures that you're looking at there on the left, that is coming from near Greensburg. Taylor Wright is one of our trained storm chasers out there tonight, kind of following the storm. He's been coming up 183. We did for a while see power flashes from his view there. And this storm now looks like it's taking a jog, and it will bring it just southeast of Greensburg and Haviland, of course, over here in eastern Kiowa County. If there's any amount of luck, it's going to go right in between those two communities tonight. But boy, this is a very, very close call. You know, you feel for those in Greensburg that have been through this. We think, and we're hopeful, the outcome is drastically different. But this is a tornado emergency, and for those of you that have a really good memory, the night of the Greensburg tornado in 07, that too was a tornado emergency, and this is a very dangerous storm as it continues to take off and again make its way to the north and east. And I can now see some pictures coming in on us here in the storm center. There are power lines down on 183, and this was reported to be about 6 miles to the south of Greensburg. So we'll continue to bring Taylor's pictures back into play here. But again, there's Greensburg, there's our tornado, and it looks to me like it's maybe going to go about 3 miles to the southeast of town. Let's bring you up here to the current time. Let's go right back into sort of the business part of this storm. And based on what we have as far as the distance is concerned from Greensburg, so let's say edge of Greensburg, about 3 miles to the south of town. You don't want to be any closer than that. I mean, that is a very, very close call for Greensburg. And again, live pictures coming in from, I don't know if he's following emergency manager. He may be following law enforcement, but the most important part here is has done this for a number of years and knows where to safe distance to try updates from that area. But we have seen power flashes in his stream there from, yes, that was along 183, and now that storm kind of continues to slide on to the south and east. Peyton, feel free to jump in here if you've got something that you've been looking at.
Yeah, just check spotter reports. There was a chaser on this storm. Has crossed 183. So it's now east of 183 highway, and that just matches up with what we've been showing you here on the radar data. This is our circulation right here, and you can see with the roads plotted here. Easily a close call for Greensburg, and we have reason to believe that this tornado is still on the ground at the present time, and it's going to keep up in a northeasterly direction. Going to be very green. We'll keep watching this. Anyone traveling along Highway 400 in Kiowa County, just east of Greensburg, needs to be alerted, because this is going to cross, very likely, Highway 400 just east of Greensburg, most likely, if it remains on its current track. So we'll keep watching that. Do want to just double check the debris mode of radar again. It's pretty messy, but we don't even need that at this point to confirm that there is a tornado just south of Greensburg moving in that northeasterly direction. So if you're in Greensburg, stay in your tornado shelters, and we'll keep watching this as this continues to move toward the northeast. Ross.
Okay, so very much. Bear with me 1 second, control room. Go ahead and tell me, Rodney's on this storm too. We do know, right? Okay, so Rodney Price is in Pratt. He's going to try to get a little closer to the storm. It is moving northeast, and again, it looks like, based on our radar present here, it's going southeast of Greensburg. But as Peyton had mentioned, we've been seeing this now for quite some time. There is no letting. I mean, this storm continues to be at full steam ahead as it passes southeast of Greensburg and will eventually go just east of Greensburg. Haviland, of course, right over here, and with any amount of luck, this will go in between those two communities. But you have to think this is about as close as you ever want it to be for Greensburg, community that had such terrible loss, you know, in the first time we dealt with this in 07, and now it looks like the path of this tornado is a little further east, but tornado warning continues there. Of course, we've talked about the tornado emergency too, and we continue to try to bring you live pictures from Taylor Wright, who was initially on 183. We do know there are power lines down tonight along 183 south of Greensburg, but now this storm is kind of taking a jog onto the east, and it does continue to be full steam ahead here as it goes east and is about ready to cross Highway 400. Now, sometimes, and this tornado has been reported to be a wedge, and that's exactly what the 07 Greensburg tornado was. Very, very large at the base of the cloud, very large down at the ground, and those are the ones that can sometimes wipe out everything in its path. And that is what has been reported to us here in the Storm Center. Now, these big tornadoes will sometimes go through a cyclical period where after it's been on the ground for a little while, it's almost like the storm has to reorganize, get its acting, and sometimes go on and produce another tornado. But we're not even sure if the first one is over with yet. I mean, based on radar alone, and then throwing in some of the initial or some of the ongoing reports that we're getting from storm chasers and storm spotters, we still believe the first tornado is in progress just to the southeast of Greensburg. We do have Taylor Wright back on the phone. Taylor, go ahead and give us an update.
Yeah, about 2 minutes ago, Ross, we had another tornado. We are about 3 or 4 miles southeast of Greensburg, but do have confirmation that a tornado was on the ground at least a couple minutes ago. Don't have a view currently to still confirm that.
Okay, and Taylor, before we let you go, 2 things for you. First of all, we had heard that it was a large, like a wedge tornado. Can you confirm? And then also, have you come across power lines that are down?
Yeah, so it did look like that's definitely a possibility that was a wedge. And we turned around before the emergency vehicles there. We assumed that was power down, so we went south a few miles and then got back east, and now we've got a little bit of a view again, but have not seen any of it yet.
Okay, very much Taylor Wright, and you're looking at live pictures here as he continues to follow that storm that's gone just to the southeast of Greensburg here. And, you know, Peyton and I were kind of looking at this. We're sampling the storm, analyzing here when we get the new data coming. It looks to me like, you know, the rotation is still fairly strong. Peyton, do we think it's going through that cycling phase?
I would think so. I was just mentioning earlier how this thunderstorm really has the intent to itself. So letting your guard down yet, not a good idea, I'd say. I still expect that this could do something. It is interesting, though, Ross, that, you know, we've got the spotters out there. Haven't seen a new tornado report here within the past 5 or 10 minutes or so. Not saying that this isn't still on the ground, but we do need to just kind of wait and see what the spotters are saying. If this is continuing, it's probably getting ready to cross Highway 400 right now, I'd say.
Yeah, and these are some very strong inbound signatures to the radar. I mean, all of these shades here of green, blues. This is wind going in toward Dodge. And there, as we get a new picture here on the velocity scan, velocity, wind, you can use those interchangeably, but looking at this is the wind going away from Dodge City. And so again, we're looking at a circulation. It's still south of Highway 400, but that area east of Greensburg is nowhere that you want to be tonight. Rodney is in Pratt, safely kind of drop Pratt and maybe give us another visual on the storm, but we do want to keep the pictures up there from Kiowa County just to see. As you watch, we do here in the Storm Center, let's see if we can pick out any more power flashes. You know, it is kind of hard to say, and we do have Rodney Price on the line with us. Rodney, when we last got an update from you, you were in Pratt. Give us on where you are now.
Okay, Ross, I am west of Pratt now. Myself and Bert Harry, we are away to the west on US 400 right now. We just passed Collison, and this is a view looking straight west along Highway 400. And we've just had a considerable amount of lightning ongoing with this storm, really brightening up the sky. Now, unfortunately, not that I've been able to make out any kind of features or anything of this. I mean, we can see it clearly right of us with all the lightning going on and dark sky. And we're really to make our way to the Pratt-Kiowa County line, kind of there, and the Haviland area, and probably up there. We really don't want to progress any farther to the west. This is approaching for here very. So yeah, we'll go a little bit farther west. Right now, again, we're just a little bit too far away to be able to see any features as of this time. I can tell you the amount of lightning that we've had has been tremendous, and we're actually not using our in-cars here to illuminate my face so that we don't, you know, ruin our night there, because we're trying to keep a close eye on what's going on here west. We've actually got some emergency vehicles up here to our, as you can see here up ahead of us. Not sure if we've got somebody pulled over or if we've got somebody trying to, maybe local law enforcement, maybe trying to block the roadway from people going a little farther west. It looks like cars are pulling along here. If we were having to stop up here, it would not be the worst thing at all, but definitely a dangerous storm ahead of us. We'll throw it back to you for the latest.
Okay, thanks very much, Rodney. Stay safe. Of course, we'll try Taylor's pictures back into view, too. I think just based on what we're looking at, the new pictures coming, I think the storm has definitely gone through the circulation. It's right through here. It is a little messy tonight. About 15 minutes ago, you know, we had a real picture of where we was going to be, and now it looks like it's trying to pass in between Greensburg and Haviland at the moment. And there you see, as the new scan comes in, this is the suspect area right here along 400. So as Rodney so well out, you know, stopping back here near the Haviland area to let this thing pass in between would not be such a bad idea. This storm is still very ramped up, and just based on the wind sampling from the radar, one would have a strong suspicion that we do continue with an ongoing tornado here. Now, east of Greensburg, looks to me like it's about 5 miles to the east of town, and it's passing in between Greensburg and Haviland, but anybody that's north of there should remain in a storm shelter, as this, again, is a very dangerous scenario that's happening. The pictures on the left, again, that's from Taylor Wright, and as you continue to watch that live stream, as we do too, looking for power flashes. I mean, we know, and if you've driven along Highway 400 in between Greensburg and Haviland, there's a long stretch of them. So if the tornado is crossing Highway 400, and in fact, it's got a connection to the ground, we should see some power flashes. We're hoping that we don't. I mean, we don't want any damage out of this. We're certainly hoping that we can come through this with, minimal structures that are damaged, minimal power outages, but this is by far one of the strongest circulations that we've seen all night long. And as Peyton has been educating you on the fact that there's no real thunderstorms south of this environment, if memory serves me correctly, this is kind of what happened the night of the 2007 Greensburg tornado. There was no storm south of it. It had all access to the warm humidity, to the warm air feeding storm. And sometimes in those environments, when you have ample supply of humidity, stronger winds coming in at this time of the night, that can keep these big supercell thunderstorms rotating for hours. And there has been some level of concern that that might happen. We thought maybe we would get off because we didn't see anything else flaring up. But now we've got this very intense thunderstorm that is indeed passing to the west of Haviland, east of Greensburg, and it definitely looks like there continues to be a pretty strong circulation there right along Highway 400. So if we do in fact have a tornado happening with the storm, one might anticipate they'll have to close parts of Highway 400 with power lines coming down. That's just maybe worst case scenario, but just checking here to see if we have any other information that's coming in. We do know there have been power lines that have been brought down by the tornado south of Greensburg. And even though there was a tornado emergency issued for the city of Greensburg, the storm has gone east of town. So we did catch a little bit of a break there. But again, this is the rotation that we're looking at. And if you're just joining our coverage here on a Sunday evening, we just passed the top of the hour. Greensburg, Haviland, Kiowa County, tornado ongoing. We had a tornado emergency for Greensburg. We can safely say the storm has gone east of there and is now crossing Highway 400 as we speak. As we bring Peyton back in, again, we do want to try to keep those pictures up from Taylor Wright just to see if we pick out any power flashes that would give us some confirmation that there is a tornado ongoing at the map. Peyton, what can you add?
Yeah, just kind of want to give a brief overview because 12 News at 10 has started, and obviously the news tonight is weather. What's happening now across the state is really in Kiowa County. That's our strongest thunderstorm. There's a few more isolated storms into the central part of the state, none of them severe. So this is what we've been mentioning, is that these storms in Kansas that have just been getting going within the past hour have all the humidity to work with. There's really, sometimes when you get too many storms, they can merge with each other and start to weaken. This thunderstorm has the environment to itself, and that is going to continue the severe weather threat maybe for the next hour or two across the southwest and moving into the south central part of the state. A little bit more on the tornado warning that we have. It's going to be interesting to see. We'll get a new warning up into the southeastern sections of County eventually. Maybe the northwest part of Pratt County too. This storm probably going to stay northwest of Pratt, but based on what we're looking at here on the radar signature, there's still a strong area between Greensburg and Haviland, and let you see the loop over the past 1 hour or so. Brighter colors indicate reds and green colors get closer together. That's where you see the area of rotation and how it has been moving northeast. Weather Service has just trimmed up the warning polygon to no longer include Greensburg. So Greensburg got lucky with this one. The tornado moving northeast of town. It looks as over Highway 400 right now into the eastern part of Kiowa County. Based on these signatures, I would expect that we're going to see a tornado extended for northeast. We've already, let's pull on the trees that are currently going for Kiowa County. 10:15 on one of them. Let's see if the other one's also, one's 10:30. So we'll probably find out here within the next 10 to 15 minutes if we're going to see warnings extended farther northeast, but that's what we can say. Greensburg, all clear. This is staying east of you, but anyone into the northeastern part of Kiowa County should be on alert as a strong tornado threat does continue here into the southwest part of the state. Ross.
And Peyton, I definitely think we can't give the all clear yet to Haviland. We can give the all clear to Greensburg, but it certainly looks like those areas around Haviland, the storm is trying to go through cycling now, and it may be generating a new tornado just to the north of Highway 400. So yes, tornado warning is likely to be downstream given the ongoing threat that we're looking at here in Haviland, East Greensburg. We can say, for those of you in Greensburg, again, we thought the storm would go south of town. and that's a turnout. I don't want to say lucky, because we do know there are some locations south of Greensburg, farmsteads. There may be some people that live south of town that have some damage, and so in those situations it wasn't necessarily a lucky scenario. But in Greensburg, yes, a tornado emergency was issued, but the tornado went south. And now we've got this new polygon that's popping up here. I'll let Peyton address that. I'll show you real quick here what's going to be next in line for the storm as it gets ready to now basically is cross 100. It's going to be west of 51st Avenue, and this is going to be north of Highway 400 by just about a mile or so. Notice where we get into these blocky reds and blues. That to me is telling me the storm is going through its cycling phase, and we may see something additional developed here. This is Haviland, by the way, Wellsford, and then of course the Pratt Pratt Kiowa County line is here. So just west of Haviland and north of Highway 400, west of 51st Avenue. This is going to register for those of you that live in that area. That's where the circulation is strongest, and it does continue northeast. At times we will continue to come back to the very, very messy. We're not able to pick out any debris from the radar out of Dodge City, but we are definitely keeping a very close watch on the wind circulation here, because it's just north of Highway 400 and about 3 miles west of Haviland. You should be sheltered if you're in Haviland. We cannot give you clear at the present time, and it does continue to show signs that it just might pass to the northwest of Haviland. Again, we're east of Greensburg and now north of Highway 400 and continuing to track on to the northeast. And Peyton, it looks like they issued a new tornado, but it was maybe for something farther south.
Yeah, it looks like this one is east of 180, but it's area right to you onto the radar. And that's the area that we're looking at, and you can kind of see it a little bit better on the wind mode of radar. And what we're looking at here, for sure, this area of rotation isn't quite as strong. Weather Service is saying spotters did report a tornado here on the southern end of the storm. So let me go back to this. It's this storm here. That's south of the one that we've been tracking, and they're saying that a tornado was reported with that storm. Rotation on radar doesn't look overly impressive, so I wouldn't be quite as concerned for as strong of a tornado at the moment as what we're looking at farther north, just northeast of Greensburg. But this is a new tornado warning. I'll pull up the latest information on that here for Kiowa County. It actually does include clipping the western part of Pratt County. So if you happen to have a weather radio and you're in Pratt, getting an alert to a tornado warning, this does not include the town of Pratt. It's really just the far western part of the county right now. So that is worth something to worth watching, as that new tornado warning is in effect until 11 o'clock. And we also anticipate, as Ross and I have been mentioning, northernmost storm, as it's lifting northeast, we're going to probably see new tornado warnings extended downstream of that within the next little while. Ross?
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. Again, we're anticipating one downstream of this initial tornado warning that is in just northwest of Haviland. We believe it to be just a couple miles north of Highway 400. We have not had any eyewitness accounts. Taylor Wright, we have Rodney here in this area. They're not confirming a tornado with this particular cell right now, but it does continue to show some concern that it may produce another one just northeast of Greensburg, and we're anticipating a tornado warning that will go up into parts of northwest Pratt County. That would probably also include the southeast corner of Edwards County. And again, this is a very dangerous storm. We saw it go just southeast of Greensburg, and as we've got this new tornado warning that's now for south of Greensburg, it doesn't look like it includes Greensburg. It is going to be another concern for areas southeast of town. But again, what jumps out at you, and even if you're not familiar with when we've tracked storms before, that area right here just east of Greensburg is something that probably stands out above and beyond everything else that we're displaying tonight. And that is this strong rotation that continues to show up just northwest of Haviland. Again, we need you to be sheltered there. And if the storm does continue to go northeast, eventually it's going to be a concern for extreme western Pratt County and extreme southeast sections of Edwards County. But again, there is the rotation that's showing up tonight on Doppler radar. We'll go in and get some more county roads to pop up here so you can see exactly the areas that we're looking at. Again, this is well east of Greensburg now, and we're talking about north of Highway 400. Here's this would be 41st Avenue, so we're east of there, and now it looks to be like it's just north of I Street. Again, that's not going to register for a lot of people that are watching tonight, but those that live in this immediate area, hopefully that will ring a bell as to what area we're talking about. It's still west of 49th Avenue that we have that strong rotation showing up. There's Haviland. This is Highway 400. It's such a heavily traveled stretch of road in between Wichita and, say, Dodge City. And so those of you that have been across this stretch of country know that as it passes through that area, there's a lot of electrical lines that stretch right there along that stretch of Highway 400. And so far, we have not heard of any power flashes or power lines down east of Greensburg. Different story south of Greensburg, because Taylor, as he was coming up on 183, approaching Greensburg, was able to see power flashes and did come across some power lines that were down there. But again, what we're looking at here, this is wind going away from Dodge, wind that's going in. A little bit broader, I think, right now on the sampling of the storm, but based on what this storm has done in the last 30 minutes, you need to be sheltered below ground. This is a very concerning storm that it might produce another tornado just to the northwest of Haviland. There we bring Greensburg back into view. So this area northeast of Greensburg is one that is still where we're very focused tonight. The potential that we could see another tornado to develop out of the storm. New to Kansas, maybe you've never been through this sort of thing before. Basements, that's where you want to be. If that's not an option, closets, bathrooms, good places to go. Wrap yourself up in pillows and blankets, put on a pair of shoes, grab some water. If you know, that's something that you take on a daily basis and you've got time, grab some of that, take it with you to shelter. You know, a lot of you concerned about your pets. You've got some time if you're north of Haviland, but time is running out. If the storm continue with the tornado there, we're trying to give you as much ample time to prepare as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and back the radar out. We're still kind of watching and waiting, anticipating that there might be something downstream, a tornado warning that could be issued for the southeast of Edwards County and extreme northwestern. Pictures back into view. We were seeing power flashes from his vantage 25 minutes ago. Taylor at times will join us on the phone to give us an update. Of course, as you watch his live stream, we are too, to see are we able to pick out any concerning cloud features? Do we see any power flashes? And it does sound like we have Taylor back on the phone. Okay, we have Mikey Gribble on the phone with us. Mike, that's where you are and what you've been able to see.
Ross, I am now about 2-3 miles east of Haviland, but about 3 minutes ago, we were just west of Haviland, about a mile or two, and I was watching. I could just make out a funnel crossing the highway going to the north, and I thought I was safe, but then there was, once we got some train lights on it, you could see the tornado down in the field in front of us, which was way about a mile away, north of the highway, and it looked like it would probably go just west of Haviland.
You were able to confirm
the bands at the ground.
All right, very good. That's Mikey Gribble, who was west of Haviland, confirming another tornado, and that has been our suspicion here for the last 10 minutes or so. The storm may be going through a cycling phase here where it's trying to ramp back up, and that's not uncommon for these storms to do that. It's like they have to go through an organizing stage and get their act together, and then later on in its life cycle, the storm, will go on to produce another tornado. That's what happened after the initial Greensburg storm in 07. It went through Greensburg, another storm was produced, another storm produced a tornado near Maxville and moved on to the northeast. And tonight, seeing that same thing play out once again in Kiowa County. And Mikey Gribble, west of Haviland, another tornado. Sounded like it was in a worked field, but moving to the northeast. And again, we're anticipating, just to give you heads up here, this is Edwards County, this is Pratt County. I'll get out of the way so you can see where the city of Pratt is back over here behind me. There's really no threat in Pratt right now. And if this storm does continue to go northeast, we're anticipating additional tornado warnings for southeast Edwards County because of what's coming right up the county road there that runs north from Highway 400. Peyton, go ahead and jump back in here with an update.
Yeah, Ross, we do have that second tornado warning farther south. I will say we did get the initial report of a tornado with it. The rotation on radar now does not look all that impressive, and that's good news. That would mean tornado at the present time on Lincoln, and featured that earlier was this little bit of a hook there just east of Highway 183, and we've kind of lost that now. So what I think might have happened here is we had a brief report of a tornado south of Greensburg, east of 183. And now what we're seeing is the rotation that has weakened some. However, something we have to watch, that this southern cell is kind of merging with the northernmost cell, and sometimes when that happens, the southern cell can become the more dominant cell. Not guaranteeing that's going to happen here, because obviously the tornado or the rotation is still pretty strong here on the northernmost cell, but both cells need to be watched carefully because they're in an environment with high humidity, a lot of instability, and as we've been mentioning through the evening, once you get into the evening and nighttime hours, the winds in the lowest part of the atmosphere really start to increase, and that can increase the potential for tornadoes, which is why we've seen the setup like we've seen today. And just as we've been mentioning, anticipating that next tornado warning, new one just popping up there, so we'll send it over to Ross with that information.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Peyton. This is going to be for Northwest Pratt County, Southeast Edwards County. Rodney Price is back on the line with us tonight. When we last talked with him, and he'll give us an update, was west of Pratt. Rodney, what have you been able to see?
Yeah, Ross, we still have a considerable amount of lightning out here with this. We've still not been able to see any of those features that Mike was just talking about. We are going back east, so the view you're seeing now with camera is off to the south and west. And yeah, that southern storm there is starting to merge with the northern tornadic storm. Just a little too close for comfort there, so we're going to scoot back east and let this pass to our west. But yeah, a considerable amount of lightning with this. When that storm was crossing 400, I could not, from my vantage point, see any kind of power flashes.
Dodges.
So that's some good news. But nonetheless, still a lot of electrical activity. Not being able to watch any features at this point, but we're going to go a little farther east to get just west of Pratt and let this storm pass to our west, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Rodney. And really quick, I want to switch over here on the radar because it sounds like we are now picking up on some tornado debris. Okay, there we go, just to the north of Haviland. Now, this is, by my estimation, the second time tonight that we've had a tornado debris signature north of Haviland. You can see how it's surrounded by red. The colors kind of drop to a different shade here along 51st Avenue. That's what runs north of Haviland. That would suggest there is debris, and the tornado is picking up what could be basically could be dirt, could be trees, could be sticks, could be about anything, but the wind goes out, and when it hits a non-meteorological target, when it comes back to the radar is smart enough to know that's not a weather target, that is something else, and so that's why it shows up at a tornado debris signature. It's not exclusive technology here to Storm Team 12, it's just a part of radar that we're able to use nowadays, and nighttime scenarios. This is how it's so incredibly useful, because it gives us some level of clarification that yes, in fact, there is a tornado happening north of Haviland, and it's about ready to cross over into extreme northwestern Pratt County and extreme southeastern sections of Edwards County. But again, this is right here along 51st Avenue, county road that goes north out of Haviland, and that area is in a tornado warning. This is a very dangerous storm. It started to flare up south of Greensburg, but there is the tornado debris signature now just shifting east of 51st Avenue, north of Haviland. Let's see what the estimated distance is from Haviland, from where we have that tornado debris signature. We're about 3 to 4 miles to the north of town. One would expect in this area, you know, there's a lot of farmsteads, going to be perhaps some trees that are taken down, but there is debris that is showing up on the radar tonight, and that's what we're showcasing you there. So taking a look again kind of at the overall here of the radar, the heavy rain, the hail, Wellsford, that's right along Highway 400. When we go back over into the wind mode, the velocity, the wind, we're showcasing where we believe the tornado to still be a threat right now. And again, this is going to be north of Haviland, so we can say now it's okay to I guess come out of your storm shelter in Haviland if you were sheltering there, because the circulation has moved north of there. But now this new tornado warning goes for areas west of Pratt, extreme southeast Edwards County, and areas to the north of Haviland. It looks to me like it may be going through another cycling phase, and as Peyton was pointing out a little while ago, a storm coming in from the south, sometimes when you get storm merger, it can be a very messy environment to try to analyze and figure out what comes next. But this area just south of Highway 400 might become the more dominant feature that we're looking at. But for right now, we definitely don't want to throttle back here on what we're looking at north of Haviland, where we continue with this signature that's just east of 51st Avenue, north of Haviland, extreme northeastern sections of Kiowa County. Reason to be concerned that there may still be a tornado in progress based on the fact that we've had Mikey confirm that there was a tornado in a field, and of course we had the debris signature on radar north of Haviland. There is still a suspect area there north of Wellsford, and again extreme western sections of Pratt County. But for those of you in Pratt, again, we can safely say you're not part of the tornado warning right now. This is well west of you and continue moving on to the north and east. Your pictures here, these are not from 5 or 10 minutes ago. These are live pictures, just kind of watching and waiting to see if there's anything that we need to point out to you, if there's anything that jumps out to us. But we do have Mikey Gribble, we have Taylor Wright, we have Rodney Price, we have you well covered tonight from the area of Kansas as we're still dealing here as we approach 10:30 in the evening now. A storm that's been ongoing since about 9:45, finally now kind of shifting into extreme Kiowa County, and we are watching two separate circulations now. One of them there again is just to the north of Haviland. The other one is to the south of Highway 54 400. And both of them, again, have to be monitored very, very carefully because we are kind of watching and waiting to see what becomes of this initial rotating storm that has now gone east of 51st Avenue. Still a very concerning area for a fairly large circulation that we're looking at there in the northeast part of the county. Over to Peyton with another update.
This has been talking about the northern part of the circulation, or northern part of the storm, which is right here in the northeast part of Kiowa County now. We still have that tornado warning. You can see it's the red outline without the white on it. I'd say the southern end of the storm isn't an imminent tornado threat anymore. Watch it because, as Ross just said, as these two storms kind of merge together, that can sometimes lead to either lower the intensity of the thunderstorm, or it can actually ramp it up sometimes. It just kind of depends how this evolves. So we have to see exactly what's going to happen here, as this will really be shifting into the western part of Pratt County here in a bit. Southern part of Stafford County, some rain right now, but the core of it just west of Pratt over toward the Byers area and continue to lift up toward the northeast. If you're watching elsewhere in the state, this is really our biggest concern for severe weather right now. There are some more isolated storms forming in north central Kansas. Threat of severe weather does not look all that high with those storms at the current time. It's really just here into the southwest, moving into the south central part of the state, where we have both of these cells working their way northeast. And as we look at the wind mode on radar, you can see still that area of rotation, northeastern part of Kiowa County, moving northeast, something we'll have to watch carefully. The tornado warning worth pointing out, northwestern Pratt into northeastern Kiowa County does go until 11 o'clock, so they have extended the time that this warning goes until, just because it's likely going to keep for a little while longer. Warnings that are only about 15 minutes, and that would indicate maybe a weaker tornado threat, but because this one has been ongoing for so long, there's enough confidence to put that warning all the way out to 11 o'clock, and then we'll kind of reassess from there how things look in the next 30 minutes, unless things somehow become much weaker before then. But for right now, I'd say this is probably going to continue for a little while longer here southwest, moving into south central Kansas. Ross?
And very classic of these big thunderstorms, because this one continues to rotate and it's still very, very strong right now off to the north of Haviland. We can say it's going to stay well north of Collison, and it's definitely going to be no threat for Pratt as we continue to look at the storm that's now in the northeast part of Kiowa County. We'll continue to, kind of expand our view and showcase Pratt. Of course, Greensburg had a close call with it tonight, but heads up around Byers and certainly west of there, we can't give you the all clear as the storm has a long history of tornadoes. It's starting to look like maybe there might be a little bit of a weakening trend here, but again, it's still got some very strong inbounds into the Dodge City radar, and the reds, of course, indicating where the wind is going away. But it's starting to look like maybe we're in a sort of a downward trend here. Of course, we've had a lot of storms merging, at least a couple of them anyway, merging out north of Haviland, and so maybe that will be interfering with the potential of developing further tornadoes off to the north of Haviland, and certainly as this gets ready to pass just to the southwest of Hopewell. There you can see, again, this is 400, there's Pratt. Iuka. We're west of 281. Still, the rotation is very much in northeast Kiowa County, but base trajectory that it's on eventually here is going to cross over into extreme northwest Pratt County and just clip the southeast part of Edwards County. Still what I would very, very dangerous storm, but it looks like in the recent scans of radar we might have the slightest downward trend in the overall circulation, but we don't want to completely let our guard down just yet. Just checking too, we do have Mikey Gribble, who is sitting west of Collison along Highway 400. Okay, we do have also Taylor Wright still in this area. We still have about make that 4 storm chasers that are out there tonight, so we'll continue to bring you pictures as best we can. Of course, you know, 10:30 at night, you're just not going to get that real clear view like you might have in the middle of the afternoon. But for at least about 2 minutes tonight, we were seeing power flashes south of Greensburg. We have not seen anything like that from any chaser feed that we've been on earlier this evening. But that storm there, north of Wellsford, well north of Haviland now, and well to the north of Collison, does continue to make its way into northwest Pratt County. It does look like the slightest bit of downward trend here in the rotation. So it could be a combination of a couple things. Maybe the storm is reorganizing, or perhaps the storm that's south of where this circulation is showing up is now starting to produce a rain-cooled environment that is completely shutting off the potential here that this storm is going to have in the next little while as it continues on into northwest Pratt County. Of course, there's one of the initial tornado warnings. We still have the other tornado warning for northwest Pratt County, but this storm has a long history, and that's why we continue to stay laser focused on what's happening in northwest Pratt County. But we can say that it is no threat for the city of Pratt, and over the last hour that storm does continue to kind of meander on to the north and east. Still a hail threat, still a lot of heavy rain. There's still some rotation happening in the storm, but it doesn't look like it's quite as capable of producing what it did about 30 minutes ago with the large tornado that was reported south of Greensburg. But all of that, still, we want to keep in mind that we do have an ongoing tornado warning, and there is still at least a little bit of a circulation that's happening now, getting ready to cross over into northwest Pratt County. As the radar scan comes around again, we continue to watch and see the overall evolution of this storm, which has been quite worrisome for those of you in Greensburg, but now it has all moved on to the east, and we do not see anything that's redeveloping behind it that would be a cause for concern. As we again just take a little bit wider view of what is happening tonight across south central Kansas, the tornado warning continuing there northwest of Pratt. There you see the couple of tornado reports that we had. The last one we had was from Mikey Gribble about 2 miles to the northwest of Haviland. There was a tornado that touched down that we believe, and based on what Mikey was telling us too, sound like it was in a worked field moving north of Haviland, and that's the storm now that has moved over into Pratt County. Will this be cause for concern for areas around Hutchinson, Wichita? Well, based on that, the storm, we would believe that it will remain northwest and western Reno County line for the possibility of maybe a severe thunderstorm warning, maybe a hail threat. But because there's still an ample amount of, and it's still plenty warm out there tonight, and the winds that are about 5,000 feet off the ground are still fairly potent, that could very easily keep this storm going for several more hours as it continues to make its way on to the north and east. So heads up western Reno County, we might get some severe thunderstorm warnings issued because of what's happening to your west back in Pratt County. We are starting the intensity here of the storm. The rotation may be starting to ramp down, and we're going to hope that that continues to be the trend there. Of course, we do have some other thunderstorms that have been showing up in parts of central Kansas, across western Ellsworth County, up into Lincoln County. Those storms are nowhere near the intensity of what we've been looking at back here in the Pratt area. We do see some new showers kind of going up in western Harvey County, but no real reason to be concerned about what we're seeing there. So as we continue to not just analyze the radar, but of course keep the pictures coming in from the live feeds that we have of both Mikey, Taylor, Rodney's out there tonight. We do have Darren Brunin, who is near Collison. We're kind of keeping an eye on all of it tonight to see if anything changes, and based on what we're sampling right now, it's looking like the tornado threat is decreasing fairly quickly right now in northwest Pratt County. Obviously, some good news to pass along there. But for the next, let's say, 15 minutes, if nothing changes and the trends continue, we will probably see these warnings, at least the tornado warnings, go by the wayside. and we'll see if that changes at all, as now the rotation is really starting to fall apart as it continues. The storm makes its way out of Kiowa County through northwestern Pratt County, but there's still a fairly substantial hail threat maybe there off to the north and west of Pratt. As for what might be happening through the rest of tonight, because again, if you were tuning in for the 10 o'clock news on a Sunday night, you're wanting to know, what does tomorrow's setup bring? Well, there's still a pretty good chance that we're going to have some severe weather over the eastern half of Kansas. And as far as what we anticipate to take place through the rest of the night, maybe Peyton can give us a quick update on what the future track model is showing, because we think things are really starting to wind down for the rest of tonight. But then tomorrow's going to be another round of active weather coming up for Kansas, and we could very easily be doing more severe weather coverage as we go into Monday evening, anticipating that there's going to be more hail and wind threats for parts of Kansas. So we'll send it over to Peyton.
Yeah, so let's start out with future track coming up this evening. What's out there now, probably going to be that one cell that we're tracking with the tornado warnings. That'll probably keep moving east for at least the next hour or so. And then it's going to maybe run into some more stable air. We had a lot of cloud cover today over central and eastern Kansas, so that might start to shut things down once we get closer to midnight as that storm moves east. And you can see the rest of future track through 1 in the morning, not showing a lot of additional storms for the rest of Kansas. But we do have that severe weather threat coming up tomorrow. For central and eastern Kansas, mainly western Kansas was in the mix today. But as you look at the outlook map for tomorrow, it is primarily, especially the eastern part of the state along and east of I-135 for some large hail, damaging winds. A tornado or two cannot be ruled out tomorrow, so that is something worth watching. And the latest timing on future track with new data in day shows storms forming probably 4 or 5 o'clock down I-135 and then moving east as we go into the east with that severe weather. So large hail, damaging winds, and possibly a tornado threat. There will be a few showers in western Kansas, but we're definitely not going to see severe weather in western Kansas as we head into your Monday. So yes, another day of potentially active weather will be possible over central and eastern Kansas. Again, that comes up tomorrow, mid to late afternoon and into the evening. Ross.
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. Again, as we continue with our coverage here for just a little while longer, just want to make sure that we see another scan or two come through on the radar to make sure that the storm does continue in that downward trend here in northwestern Pratt County and extreme southern sections of Stafford County. We do have some active weather there. Of course, we're not seeing what we were seeing about 30 or 45 minutes ago with respect to the rotation, so things are moving in a positive direction when it comes to this ongoing tornado potential that we've been looking at here off to the west of Pratt. Now, there's still at least a broad scale circulation that we're looking at there, but again, things are really trending down here when it comes to the overall tornado threat right along and north of Highway 400, where we have had some active weather tonight. And so far, I can tell you that beyond the power flashes and some of the power lines that were brought down south of Greensburg, we have not seen any additional reports of damage coming from either the city of Greensburg, Haviland, or locations in between. Of course, in between it would be some farmsteads, but we have not heard. But then you also have to remember that given time of day and assessing what might have happened in the wake of these tornadoes is going to be really difficult because, again, you just don't have the benefit of extra daylight to kind of assess what may have happened. But now we're down to this ongoing tornado warning for about another 20 minutes or so. Northwest Pratt County, northeast Kiowa County, there is a chance it could be canceled early given what we have seen so far and the trends that we're looking at. And my estimation here is that we're probably getting very, very close here to seeing the tornado warning. Okay, so they are canceling for Kiowa and west central Pratt counties. That's not a big surprise there. The circulation kind of moved on into the northwest part of the county, where even again, as we display a live picture here coming in from the radar, it's just not what it was 20 and 30 minutes ago. So that would be some encouraging news there. As far as the hail is concerned, could easily still get some hail between 1 inch and golf ball size in northern Pratt County. It looks like the largest of the hail is probably going to pass to the north of Pratt. And as we bring some of those colors in here so you can see how the rain and the hail is progressing, it's going through northwest Pratt and north central. It also does extend southern sections of Stafford County where some heavy rainfall, hail maybe up to the size of dimes, or could be reality there. But again, we're moving in direction when it comes to the tornado threat there. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and move our coverage back over to 12.2. We've been in continuous
balance between scheduled activities like visiting Volcanoes National Park mixed with personal leisure time. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword KWCH, to request a brochure, to watch a travel show, and to book this tour.
Safety is in your hands. Every dig, every time. Click or call Kansas 811.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And welcome back once again. It is a weather alert day. Storm Team 12 continuing to track severe storms across the state, especially going into tomorrow as well. We've seen reports of those severe storms throughout the day from the northwest part of the state and to the southwest part of the state. As we've seen tonight, we've had reports of large hail and tornadoes in the ground. We'll get to all of that and show you some pictures that are coming into our newsroom. But first, we want to get to the radar with Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen as some of those storms are starting to fan out throughout the rest of this night.
Well, Dylan, we still have a tornado warning in western Pratt County right now. It's not quite as an imminent threat as what we were seeing about 30 or 45 minutes ago, but bring you up to the current time, and we'll try to bring some of the live pictures back in from our chasers that might still be out there tonight. We do know Taylor's out there, Darren's out there too, and this tornado warning that's ongoing for Pratt County is still of concern because we do have it just to the north of Collison. It's no threat to the city of Pratt, but it's north of Collison and eventually Pat or Iuka and to the south and east of Byers. But again, over the last hour, you can see how that storm is safely going to pass north of the Pratt area. Now, we are also hearing that a train has been derailed east of Greensburg, and it also sounds like there are power lines that are down. We do know there are power lines down south of Greensburg, but it also sounds like, again, there were 4 miles east of Greensburg. There are reports of some cars, train cars, that were derailed from what we believe to have been the tornado tonight that went south of Greensburg and then went east of Greensburg and crossed Highway 400. That's about the first reports of damage that we've had to the east of Greensburg now since the storm kind of got underway. But when you look at the last hour here, and by the way, this is really the only thing of significance that's still out there tonight that's even close to being severe, and we're looking at northern Pratt County, northern Stafford County, areas south of St. John, some heavy rainfall. There's hail once you get to the south of Highway 50, but just northwest of Pratt, still at least some weak rotation happening with the storm as it goes northwest of Pratt. But then it, like we spent a lot of time covering through Kiowa County, that's no longer showing up on the radar. However, we do continue with an area of concern as we go up here to the current time, looking at the storm that's north of Pratt and does continue to slide to the north of town. As we go in closer, you're going to see it's probably about 10 minutes away from crossing 281. But when we talk about what the wind is doing inside of the storm, northwest of Pratt, there's still an area that we're going to need to keep an eye on here, just west of Northwest 70th Avenue and north of Highway 400. There is still a bit of a circulation there, but it's not as substantial as what we had 45 minutes ago when the storm was south of Greensburg. So we don't want to completely let our guard down here in northern Pratt County, certainly for the city of Pratt, if the storm is going to ramp up. And if emphasis on if, it does produce another tornado, it would safely remain north of Pratt, but west of 281, and it looks like it would remain west of Iuka. So this is Pratt County that we're looking at, and it's the only area that does remain in a tornado warning right now. The storm is kind of taking a little bit of a jog to the northeast, so we'll just continue to kind of sit here and watch and see what becomes of this over the next several minutes. But as we take a little bit larger view of what is happening across the area, again, that is the biggest storm that does remain out there tonight, and that is in northwestern sections of Pratt County. From a little bit larger scale, what's happening around Wichita, what's happening elsewhere, we really don't see a whole lot in and around the metro area. We have had a couple of storms up in central Kansas, a few of those right now from northern Lincoln County, or make that northern Ellsworth County, across Lincoln County up into Mitchell County, but nothing in north central Kansas looks all that intense at the present time. There may be some small hail with a few of those storms in Lincoln County as those continue to show signs over the last hour of mostly moving northeast at around 25 miles an hour, as again, those continue to be some hail potential, but doesn't look like it's anything more than probably hail up to the size of dimes. The pictures that you're looking at over there on the left, that's going to be on the tornado warning storm that we still have ongoing at the moment down here in parts of Pratt County. And just taking a look here, see if we have any updated information. And I'm not seeing anything that I have in from the chasers at the moment. Let's see here. Okay, and it sounds like still some concern north of Colison here, as it does a storm that does continue to go on to the north and east. So let's go back in here. It looks like they're issuing a new tornado warning here. This is going to be for northeast Pratt County. Again, this is mostly going to be because of the long history of what this storm has done over the last hour now, and it does include southeastern Stafford County. It does include areas north of Pratt. So as we've been saying, for those of you in Pratt, the concern is going to be the north of town, and it looks like that's where that live picture is coming from. That's in Pratt at the present time, but you see that new tornado warning now, areas southeast of St. John, southeast Stafford County, extreme northern sections of Pratt County too. So if the storm is going to produce a tornado, there's still a possibility that it could. Doesn't look like it's anything what it was, ago. It's going to remain to the north of Pratt, but we're still picking up on a little bit of an area of concern south of Byers, northwest of Pratt, and still west of 281. As for who's next in line that might see the area of concern pass overhead, well, from the rotation that we have taking it northeast, let's see, this would be moving at about, we're tracking it around 30 miles an hour. We show it coming up into Turon at 11:10, Plevna at 11:29, Arlington 11:36. We should update that here because it's not anywhere close to where it should be. So let's do this again. This is northeast at 30, so there we go. Iuka at 11:04, Preston 11:23, Turon 11:37. Again, northwest of Pratt. Radar still shows some rotation happening with this storm, and we had at least a couple chasers indicate there could be, emphasis on could be, a power flash or two north of Colison. We will do what we can to try to figure out whether or not was that from wind or was that a possible tornado. Again, we'll get some updated information on that, but again, it does sound like there does continue to be some potential here of a tornado off to the north of Colison and west of Iuka. This is again in northern sections of Pratt County, where a new tornado warning now has been issued to include southeastern Stafford County and northern sections of Pratt County. Let's see here. Asking the control room here, the video that we're looking at, do we know whose stream? Is that Taylor's stream? Okay.
Okay.
Just trying to find out whose video we're looking at here so we can... Okay, so that's Mikey's stream, and we talked to him a little bit earlier this evening. He did report, that was, several minutes ago of that tornado that was north of Haviland. And this is part of the same storm now that's working its way through northern Pratt County, west of 281, south of Byers. And there's still at least a little bit of a circulation, or a couplet, if you will. And this is using the Wichita radar. So now the wind north of Pratt in the red is where it's going away. Green would be inbound. And so we're still with some concern here just to the northwest of Pratt. This is using Dodge City radar, so the colors are going to switch on you. But again, same idea here. We're just east of 70th Avenue, where we do continue with some. There may be a tornado ongoing at the present time. Again, east of 70th Avenue and north of Highway 400. This would put it, again, keep it north of Pratt. Of course, you see Pratt down here at the bottom part of your screen. That would keep it well to the northwest of there as it does continue to move on to the east. Still a dangerous storm. We don't want to let our guard down with this particular cell just yet, but there is at least an area that isn't quite as extensive with the rotation as what we were seeing when the storm was back in Kiowa County. And Peyton, feel free to jump in here if you've got some updated information.
Yeah, I was just checking in. You mentioned it with our
does continue to move away from town, but if you're in Iuka and areas of north central Pratt County, extreme southeast Stafford County, you do want to be on the safe side here and shelter below ground if at all possible. Now you can see there were reports of power flashes, maybe a little bit of a circulation that went right over Northwest 70th Avenue, and now that looks like it may be getting absorbed by the rest of the storm and perhaps maybe weakening the overall tornado potential, but still a little bit early to say with a high level of confidence that this thing is winding down, because for a few scans on radar anyway, it did kind of ramp up there as it went across Northwest 70th Avenue and now goes just north, just to the north of Iuka. We do have Rodney Price back on the line. Rodney, where are you now and what have you been able to see?
Yeah, Ross, we're making our way through Pratt right now. We are going to make our way to about 281, probably venture just a little bit north of town to see if we can see anything. But what you can see from the camera right now, there is a tremendous amount of lightning, big uptick in lightning in about the last 10 minutes as this storm has continued to make its way through Collison and then right now to the northwest of Pratt. Again, this is well northwest of town, so this is not a concern for the city of Pratt. We're right now at Highway 54 and 281, and we are going to go left and to the north and make our way to see if we can see anything here on the north side of town with the business end of the storm. Again, here we go, making our way. So I move the camera around right now. There we are. That view is facing straight north along US 281, and you can see down the road there's a lot of lightning in the cloud that is really sharp. As I mentioned, last 5 to 10 minutes, there's been a big uptick in the amount of lightning we've seen here. We're hoping once we get here past the railroad tracks here on the north side of town, we may be able to see something here. Have not been able to see any power flashes from our vantage point. That could certainly change here if we get a little farther north and be able to, have no obstructions with trees or buildings or anything like that. It does appear like we have some law enforcement here to our north, just north of town. That could be possible they have the road closed down again. If that's the case, we'll get up as far as we can. But right now, again, crossing the railroad tracks here on the north side of Pratt on US 281, looking off to our north. Ross?
All right, thanks very much, Rodney. As we continue to keep an eye on this tornado warning that's for northern Pratt County. Again, as you watch the last hour review here, as we kind of get an assessment of where the storm is headed next, it's north of Pratt. We've been saying over and over again, there's no threat in Pratt. That remains the scenario right now. And it doesn't look like there's much threat in Iuka. It's going north of there too. But follow here as it crosses 70th Avenue and gets ready to go right over 281. That's the road that Rodney's coming out of on Pratt, coming straight north on 281, getting a look at the storm that's north of Iuka. And the other pictures that you're looking at there, again, this is coming from Mikey Gribble, Taylor Wright. Both of those guys are still out there. And, the unfortunate side of it is it's now past 11 o'clock at night, and we just don't have enough lightning in this shot here to really illuminate some of those lower level cloud features that would be of most interest to us to either confirm or deny whether or not we have an ongoing tornado at the present time. So you're, relying on Doppler radar about 85 to 90% at this time of day. And then at times we'll switch over and try to show you debris signatures if in fact that opportunity does present itself. But again, this is a storm that does continue with the tornado warning. Let's go up to the current time here as it gets ready to pass north of Iuka, and this is northern Pratt County. Next in line will be extreme southeastern sections of Edwards County, or make that Stafford County, and western Reno County. As this storm does continue to show a sign of moving on to the northeast, it will soon cross 281, and then eventually that would put it into, well, it's already in north central Stafford County, but from where we have that circulation, if it continues to go northeast at, let's say, 25 to 30 miles an hour, eventually Sylvia, Turon, a couple of communities that will need to be paying attention to what's happening back here in northern Pratt County. But this is a storm, and this is not uncommon of these big supercell storms to continue to rotate for hours on end. And this one started actually back in Comanche County and eastern Clark County, and then finally got its act together as it moved up into Kiowa County. Same storm that went south of Greensburg, then it passed in between Haviland and Greensburg, and now it has made its way into north central Pratt County as it continues to go on to the north and east. So again, we'll continue to watch the live feeds coming in here, point out anything that's of interest to us. Certainly, we do have our chasers continuing to call back and report what they're seeing out there tonight. This is again using the Wichita radar, so the red wind going away, green is inbound. So there is the rotation now. Looks like it's just west of 281, north of Iuka. Not familiar with this. This is northern Pratt County, basically south central Kansas. Not close to Wichita, not close to Hutchinson yet. But at the moment, we can see some pretty strong outbounds. There's the strong green inbounds. And it looks like it's, again, just west of 281. We'll go in even closer. It's south of 90th Street. And, okay, this switches back over to Dodge City, but the area is still very much the same right here along 70th Street, west of 281, northwest of Iuka, northern Pratt County. And eventually here within the next couple of minutes, it's going to go right over 281. I would suspect that is the highway that we're looking at there in the live picture, as again, Rodney's been going north of Pratt, but I believe that we have Mikey's video pulled up there as we continue to watch the stream there. This is north of Pratt. Just seeing here, okay. Sounds like most of our guys are in Iuka tonight, which is obviously the only area of Kansas that's really being threatened by an ongoing tornado situation at the moment. And we've had a couple reports of power flashes. Haven't seen any reports of damage from Pratt County. That's a different situation from Kiowa County, where we know that about 4 railroad cars were knocked off the tracks east of Greensburg. We've also had power lines that are down south of Greensburg. But our focus now is what's happening here in Pratt County, north of Iuka, right here along 281. The rotation is about ready to cross the highway. And these are still some pretty solid signatures that we're looking at from the Doppler radar, both out of Dodge and Wichita, suggesting that it's still very much in northern Pratt County where we're picking up on the strongest returns. And this does continue to go east. So it looks like it's going to pass north of Iuka by about 3 or 4 miles. And then it puts it into extreme north central, northeastern parts of Pratt County. There we switch back over to the Wichita radar. Again, red away, green inbound, and there's the circulation getting ready to pass over 281 as it goes on to the northeast. We haven't talked much about the hail threat that's ongoing with the storm. It still very easily could be over 1 inch in diameter. As we go back into what is traditionally what we show you, this mode of radar where the heavy rain, the hail's coming down. There's the little notch that's showing up north of Iuka. That's this particular radar product showing us where the rotation is. And then as we expand our view, next in line will be areas of northeast Pratt County, extreme southeast Stafford County. There's Turon. Of course, that would be western Reno County. Let's see if this storm still has the intensity that it does right now as it gets closer to western Reno County. But I would say west of Arlington, Turon to Sylvia, right here at, let's see, that would be 61 Highway. We just kind of need to keep an eye on what's happening here in Pratt, because we have had some power flashes reported. And of course, if you're watching that live picture there, you may be see some flashes there happening right there where the radar picture matches up with the camera picture. I don't think that's a power flash from a tornado. That looks like it's something else at the moment. But if you're north of Preston and now north of Iuka, again, we're talking about north central Pratt County, southeast Stafford County. You definitely want to remain sheltered. And just looking at the big picture, again, you can see the notch that's showing up. That's the warm, humid air that's being drawn into the storm, gets wrapped around the back part of it. So that notch, the appendage sometimes as we call it, the hook echo, probably a more familiar term to some of you. That is, again, one of the radar samplings of a supercell or a rotating thunderstorm that sometimes does produce tornadoes. Not always. Sometimes you'll see a radar presentation that looks like this and you think, well, just because there's a hook or an appendage, there's a tornado with it. Not always the case. That's when we have to switch over and use the velocity or the wind to try to see exactly what the winds are doing inside of the storm. Peyton, go ahead and jump in here if you've got something to add.
Yeah, just kind of anticipating, you kind of mentioned it earlier, what's going to be happening here within the next 20 minutes because this storm is moving east at about 40 miles per hour. So the tornado warning currently includes southeast Stafford and northern sections of Pratt County until 11:30. So within the next 20 minutes, we're going to get a decision made on whether or not we'll see a tornado warning extended into Reno County. And the Weather Service in Wichita was just mentioning that it's possible that we see that happen. So they're on guard as Dodge City currently issuing the warnings. Once this crosses over into Reno County, it'll be the Weather Service in Wichita's responsibility. But you can see the easterly movement on that. And again, within the past 10 minutes, the reports of the power flashes, likely tornado with this thunderstorm as it continues to move in its eastward direction. So areas in western Reno County should be on the lookout. Maybe not quite to Hutchinson at this point. That's still a little bit farther out. We've got some time to go before we'd be getting worried about that. But Sylvia, down toward the Turon area, are locations that we need to watch for that potential for this storm to continue to hold together. So we should know that within the next 20 minutes or so. And that's something we'll be watching. But again, for now, the tornado warning does continue southeastern Stafford into the northern part of Pratt counties until 11:30. Ross?
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. Again, a lot happening here as we now approach, well, we're just after 11 o'clock this evening, and we still have ongoing tornado warning here for northern Pratt County. And the storm, it's fairly small. It's compact here, southeast Stafford County, northern Pratt County. We really don't have anything else out there tonight that has our attention. So we're just kind of focused on what's happening here north of Pratt to see what becomes of this as it moves on along 61 and gets into western Reno County. And we'll try to continue to bring up the live pictures here as best we can. We do know that some of our guys are having a little bit of trouble with their stream tonight, or maybe. Okay, let's go. Mikey Gribble's on the phone. Mikey, go ahead and give us an update on where you are and what you've seen.
I was about a mile or two north of Iuka, and we could see what looked like a wedge tornado off to our west, and it was getting too close. I couldn't confirm that was down, so we moved south, and we are a mile south of Iuka looking north, and there's been a rope tornado that was arcing back over the highway. It probably is a little north of Iuka, Ross, but I'm not close enough to really call exact location. I have not seen it on the ground here in the last minute or so, but it was a rope arcing back, so I do think that was a wedge west of Iuka, and it transitioned to a rope, and possibly as it's moving across the highway, or at least I'm losing visibility on it.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much. Again, that's Mikey Gribble. He's kind of watching this storm for us out here in Pratt County, and again reporting that he believed he did see a wedge tornado for a while, and then it went through the rope out stage, which is, that's very common. Okay, and let's picture up. Rodney, you're on the phone with us from Mobile Weather Lab. Rodney, give us an update.
Hey there, Ross. Okay, so we are traveling on Northeast 30th. We are just southeast of the Pratt Airport. We're traveling east to get to K61. But if you look here in the middle of the picture here, we've been watching this closely. There may be a little bit of a funnel there. That view is looking pretty much straight north. I'm going to pan the camera a little bit more to the north and east, and we've got some lowered areas there. I have not been able to see any kind of power flashes, but certainly is a suspect area that we're watching as we're traveling east here. We're going to get on 61 highway and then kind of parallel this storm just a little bit. But again, we are kind of east of the Pratt Airport and making our way through eastern Pratt County. Ross?
Okay, thanks very much, Rodney. It kind of looks like the storm is trying to ramp back up again now northeast of Iuka and west of Preston. So, let's try to keep Rodney's picture up here, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth between Rodney's picture and what Mikey's seeing. But, this storm here is really the only thing out there, and as we've been saying periodically throughout the evening, that these storms that have nothing south of it, and the direction is key here, because if there was something south of the storm, it might interfere with what's feeding into the storm, which is nothing but warm, humid air at this hour, and that's what's keeping this storm healthy and probably will for a little while longer yet, as it does continue to slide through northeastern Pratt County and eventually western Reno County, impacted by what could be a tornado producing storm. Now again, as Peyton had mentioned, western Reno County is under the jurisdiction of the Wichita Weather Service, and so as this leaves the Dodge City area, this will become a concern for the Wichita Weather Service to issue some warnings, and wouldn't be surprised in the next 10 minutes if we get a tornado warning for western Reno County, based on what we're seeing here as this storm continues to be the main event right now unfolding in parts of Kansas. And you can see a well-defined curl here in the radar signature north of Pratt, east of 281. So this is now east of Iuka, it's west of Preston, and it looks like we have the radar is suggesting that the rotation is starting to pick back up, and that of course would be of concern here as we're looking at the area now just east of 281. This starts to get into a little bit more populated area, so as we go in even closer here to bring on some county roads, we're southeast of or south of 90th Avenue. There you see northeast 40th Avenue. There's 281. That's what runs north out of Pratt, north out of Iuka, and it's east of 281 now. Right here along northeast 40th Avenue. So we're going to occasionally mention these county roads, these township roads, which register with anybody that doesn't live in that area. But for the locals, hopefully this is, exactly what we're talking about. The pictures there from Mobile Weather Lab. We have out there tonight. Mikey's still out there. This is key because, more populated area, and it's starting to show it tipping back up a bit more. And so tornado warning continues off to the northeast of Pratt, and it would be to the west of northeast 70th Avenue. Again, there's 281 south of 90th Avenue. It looks to me like the circulation is right here along 40th Avenue. That's east of 281. So continuing to keep our guard up here to see if we can pick out anything that is of concern with respect to debris. Don't see anything there. And then again, with the circulation that we're looking at, still pretty well defined here off to the east of 281, and that tornado warning does continue for north central Pratt County. There you see Preston coming into view. There's 61 Highway, and then of course Turon starts to bring it into western Reno County. So there, we're starting to close off here, at least from the reflectivity or the regular will. It appears to be a little donut that's showing up back here. That's the strong rotation that's showing up. And based on what we're looking at from radar, still a strong reason to believe that there could be an ongoing tornado happening with the storm to the west of Preston as it continues to go east. If you're around Preston, north of Preston, if you're southeast of Stafford, that's something to keep in mind here because the warning does go up into Stafford County. So let's go a little further north. Let's bring Stafford into view. There you go. A lot of heavy rain, a lot of hail happening there. But if there's going to be another tornado, and it would not be a surprise to get another tornado produced out of this storm, it's going to be southeast of Stafford here, eventually impacting extreme. Well, it's already in northern Pratt County, but extreme southeast Stafford County could be impacted by this storm too. Let's maybe take, since this is a storm, let's maybe take Mobile Weather Lab live. We'll just kind of see if there's anything that we can pick out as we continue to watch the live feed there from Mobile Weather Lab. If we can go and look at the full screen view here. Of course, Rodney's been talking a lot about all the tremendous lightning, and sometimes when we see an increase in the lightning, that can be a precursor, just an extra indication that the storm is getting stronger. We're certainly seeing a lot of lightning here. We're certainly starting to see the rotation ramp up a bit. And Peyton, feel free to jump in here with some other information that you've been looking. Okay, before we go to Peyton real quick, let's bring Rodney back in, then we'll jump over to Peyton here. An update on what you've been able to see.
Okay, Ross, we're stopped here at North 30th Street and K61. We're going to have a loud in a second, and that's not a tornado. That's an actual freight train right now going past us. We're probably going to go back north here or northeast rather, on 61 and see if we see anything. The storm's getting just a little bit farther north of the road, so we're at a point where we feel like we can do that safely. There goes that train. So yeah, Russ, we're going to make our way back on the road here and see if we can see any kind of power flashes with that storm that is now to our north and northeast. Ross?
Okay, thanks very much, Rodney. Yes, it definitely looks like the storm is kind of ramping up once again off to the northwest of Preston. We'll send it over to Peyton here with an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, so still anticipating that we will, I'd say most likely at this point, we're within 10 minutes of the decision of seeing a tornado warning for Reno County. And based on the signatures that we're seeing on radar, it looks like it's holding together, not weakening. And as we go ahead and give an early anticipation of what's going to be happening here, from the area of rotation, take it east at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. That's going to put it into the western part of Reno County just after 11:30. Turon by around 11:36. Sylvia by 11:44. And then potentially holding together toward the Arlington area. We still have all that Gulf moisture streaming in from the south, feeding right into this thunderstorm. And that's going to keep moving east with the thunderstorm as we head here probably through the next at least hour or so. Anticipating what's going to happen even later than that, it does look like that Gulf moisture is going to start to decrease a little bit once these storms get a little bit closer to the I-135 corridor. So just kind of in the short term, we're really watching Reno County, and then we'll see how those storms behave as they get closer to I-135, potentially into Harvey, and maybe the far northern part of Sedgwick County, probably going to say north of Wichita though, but that's kind of down the line. We're not focusing on that just yet. I kind of want to get through the near term here. But you can see based on that track, holding together most likely into the western part of Reno County here just within the next 10 minutes. The current tornado warning that we have for Stafford and Pratt counties goes until 11:30. So it's probably just going to be within the next 10 minutes or so. We'll have that decision made on if there's going to be a tornado warning, including Reno County as well. So heads up in the western part of Reno County. We'll keep watching this storm as it heads your way over the next 30 to 45 minutes. Ross?
Yeah, and it sounds like, Peyton, that they are in the process of drawing up the warning right now for western Reno County. It will include Plevna, it will include Sylvia, but it looks like the tornado potentially would be rain-wrapped and it would pass north of Preston and to the south of Stafford. So that's what we have here. Looking at this view, again, we're talking about an area, and there's the new tornado warning. Turon's part of that as well, extending it over into western Reno County. We'll take a wider view of it here shortly. But the circulation now is just south of 90th Avenue. It's well east of 281, and it's going to go north of Preston. So if you're in these areas, of course, we're talking about farmsteads now, pivot irrigations, you know, there's probably that kind of damage that can be expected when this is all over with. But this storm is really ramped up once again now east of 281, north of Preston, south of Stafford. Let's go up to the current time here and show you this donut hole back here is really indicating the stronger circulation. It's started to tighten back up, and sometimes we'll reference a figure skater in these kind of situations because when a figure skater draw their arms in closer to the body, they spin faster. Same thing with these big storms. When the rotation tightens, they're spinning faster. It does increase the chance of a tornado, and this is another very strong. This is probably the second strongest signature that we've had tonight of a tornado out there, and we do still have several chasers that are out there kind of following the storm, but it's right there along, let's see, that would be northeast 120th Street. Again, it's north of Preston, it's south of Stafford. If you're in between those two communities, east of 281, if you're west of Turon, this is a very dangerous area to be in because it's highly likely that this tornado could be wrapped in rain, and we may not get a visual of it until it's right overhead. So again, you can see the donut hole, if you will. The entire circulation is basically closed off there, and that little hole that shows up would be the strong rotation that we have showing up with this particular storm. And it sounds like maybe we have some debris being indicated by the radar. Let's see if we can find that. That is troublesome there. That is, again, just south. Hang with me here. This is south of northeast 120th Street and just east of 50th Avenue. So that, again, keeps it north of Preston, south of Stafford. And again, this is in extreme northern Pratt County. So you'll see over here we have Turon, of course, Sylvia, Plevna farther north. This area, we're picking up on a tornado debris signature. I think this, by my count, is our third one tonight. This is south of 120th Street and again east of 50th Avenue, north. That's going to, again, keep it north of Preston. as we do continue to see a concerning sign there on radar of debris, and that matches up with where, of course, we have the rotation, the circulation that's happening there along Northeast 120th Street and right there along 80th Avenue. For a lot of you watching tonight, this is just going to sound like a bunch of roads and county roads that you're not familiar with, but what we're trying to do for those in that area is just try to nail down, pin down exactly where this thing is and where it goes next. And it looks like it's probably going to remain north of 61. Rodney had mentioned that too. He was going to try to get on 61, so we might be able to get a little bit better visual of it. But keep in mind, there's a strong chance that this thing could be wrapped in rain, and it might be almost impossible to see. But I would say from Sylvia, south of Sylvia, certainly there's the town of Stafford, which is probably getting hit with a lot of heavy rain, perhaps some hail there tonight. The hail likely increases a bit when you get south of Stafford, but right there along 80th Avenue, and now let's see, it looks like that would be Stafford Road and 80th Avenue is where I have the strongest circulation that's showing up on radar at the moment. We continue the pictures there. Again, those are live pictures. I believe that's coming from Mikey. And we also have Rodney still out there tonight. So again, those are live pictures from Mikey Gribble. And not exactly sure what highway that is there. Maybe 61. I don't know. Peyton, do you know which highway he might be on there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, we're not entirely sure. Because it could be 281 as well. But the important thing here is that you're looking at live pictures, so if there's a power flash, you know, these guys are always trying to reposition to put themselves in a safe position to view and keep us updated on the storm in such a manner that if the storm, and we believe this one does have a tornado with it, they're at a safe distance from it, but also in a position where they can move away from the storm if they need to, if in fact it takes a turn or they get a little too close for comfort. But you know, we're kind of watching to see if there's anything that we can see from the live pictures there. But again, tornado warning now extended into western Reno County. If you're just dipping in here, maybe you're getting notification of a tornado warning for western Reno County. This is 5 miles of Preston, the Stafford Reno County line. The hook signature now is just getting ready to cross over into extreme southeastern Stafford County. Of course, there you see St. John, Stafford over here. This is going to remain well south and east of there, and it's likely going to go north of Turon, heads up around Sylvia, and certainly southeast parts of Stafford County, where the circulation continues to look pretty intense at this hour. And again, Mikey, we know, is 5 miles west of Preston, continuing to follow the storm. That would more than likely put him on 61 highway. And again, there's the rotation that's showing up. Let's see if we're still picking up on the debris signature. Yeah, I mean, Peyton, what do you think? That the CC drop is notable
matched.
there.
It's matched.
Okay.
And Darren Brunin, one of our storm chasers, is saying that this is a wedge tornado. So if you're not familiar with tornado classification types, that would be one of the larger ones. It's a very wide tornado. That would indicate that it's a pretty strong one as well. And that just matches up with the debris signature that we're seeing on radar. You usually don't see debris signatures on radar unless it is a pretty powerful tornado. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. Just looking at this here, Ross, let me pull up the distance measurement from the hook to Turon is about 7 miles west. So, you know, east-northeasterly track. It looks like it's going to be a pretty close call for Turon. Could go just northwest of town. Turon, especially, I would take your tornado precautions as a pretty significant tornado is ongoing. You are very close to the path of this, pretty much along and northwest of K61 here, getting ready to move out of Stafford and Pratt counties and into Reno County. So that's kind of the latest on what was just reported, Ross.
Okay, thanks very much, Peyton. Again, this is, in case you're wondering, this is our only storm that's out there tonight, and all the others are either just small hail, but we're really concentrating on what's happening here just west of Turon. And again, I think it is worth noting as we show Turon, of course, Plevna and Sylvia farther north, as we animate the radar so you can see what we're looking at here in the Storm Center. That hook, that is the tornado, confirmed tornado, and our eyewitness accounts suggest that it is likely a large tornado. That's going to be passing most likely to the north of Turon, but it's very close. So where we have the hook, this is a well-defined radar signature of a tornado. This is right here along Southeast 80th Street, just west of 110th Street in Stafford County. So this is the southeast corner of Stafford County, moving out of Pratt County, and that hook that's showing up again is the radar sampling the rotation. So we go back over to take a look at the wind, and again it is right there where we see everything else kind of coming together, the debris signature, the rotation, and overall we believe there to still be a strong tornado happening with this storm here in the southeast corner of Stafford County. And eventually next in line, of course, here you see Pleasant Valley Road running east and west. It's southeast 70th Street here shortly. And probably within the next 5 to 8 minutes or so, it'll be getting into western Reno County here. Again, you want to seek shelter below ground. Basements, as most of you are well aware of, those are the places to be. If a basement is not available to you, closets, bathrooms, you want to shelter your from a tornado by putting as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you can. Pillows and blankets, wrap yourself up in that, put on a pair of shoes. I mean, the list goes on and on. Some of you have lived in Kansas your whole life. Maybe you've never been faced with having to seek shelter from a tornado. This sort of thing, you know, does happen from time to time. And a lot of us have recognized the fact that lately we haven't had a lot of tornadoes in Kansas, so maybe we've become a little bit complacent, or maybe kind of forgotten about all the things that we need to do in these kinds of events. And we're trying to give you as much time as we can to prepare as this storm comes in on western Reno County. Of course, Pleasant Valley Road that runs east and west. There's Southeast 80th Avenue, that's Stafford County. The town of Stafford is right up here at the top part of your screen, so this is going to go well south of Stafford, but we want you to be ready here for areas that are just west of Langdon Road and right along Pleasant Valley Road. This tornado is going to be crossing some of those locations here shortly, and it looks like it's going to go north of Turon, north of 61, and there you see Sylvia. It's going to get uncomfortably close to Sylvia. With any amount of luck, it may go right in between Turon and Sylvia. But again, a tornado warning does continue across western Reno County as that continues to the east. Peyton, go ahead and jump if you've got.
Yeah, still watching the rotation, it is pretty strong. And as our Darren Brunin, storm chaser, reported, the report of the tornado is that it is of the larger variety, and that just matches up with the signatures that we're seeing on radar. Let's show you the radar picture here. What we're looking at is the brighter shades of red and green, indicating stronger winds. So the brighter those colors are, the stronger the winds are within the storm. That's our area of rotation, and it does match up. See the area of rotation with the debris mode of radar. Very clearly here, that area of blue is tornadic debris. That's the third signal we've seen today across Kansas with tornadic debris. And this is continuing to move in a east-northeasterly direction. So I'll go ahead and put an updated storm track on it from where we're looking at the area of rotation. And we'll move it east at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. It's going to be toward the Langdon area at 11:48, Plevna by 11:54, depending on exactly where that tracks. Not saying that there's going to be a tornado in Plevna at that time, but we will just watch for it to pass a little bit closer to there within the next 20 minutes or so. Of course, Hutchinson is on the map now, and we're watching the storm carefully. It's too early to say whether or not this storm is going to hold together toward the Hutchinson area with a tornadic potential. But we'll just have to keep watching things. This current tornado warning for western Reno County, pull it up here, goes until midnight. So we've got about another 30 minutes. It'll be by midnight. We'll have a decision on if we'll see tornado warnings issued farther east into Reno County or not. But certainly a significant tornado ongoing here, crossing into the western part of Reno County now. Take shelter as this continues to move into Reno County. Ross?
And Peyton, we're hearing that the tornado debris signature is picking up on debris as high up as 20,000 feet into the air. So you can imagine just how significant this tornado could be as it gets ready to cross over into western sections of Reno County. But as Peyton mentioned, Hutchinson is on the map. So if we can give you 45 minutes to be thinking about what you would need to do, that's a lot of time. You know, you've got 45 minutes to maybe think about getting some extra water, finding some shoes, locating whatever necessities you might need to ride out this storm, and you've got a lot of time to do that in Hutchinson. You know, take advantage of that. That's really one of the benefits of having chasers out there, the radar technology. If we can give you that much advanced preparation, that much advanced warning, that works to your favor to try to get people to shelter and try to find the safest options to get through these kinds of storms, and hope that, you know, that doesn't have to be something you have to activate as it gets closer in time. But again, the area that we're looking at, and we're really laser focused here on areas north of Turon, south of Sylvia. This is a very dangerous storm. That is Mobile Weather Lab that's over there on the left part of the screen. If we get a chance to check in with Rodney, would love to know, first of all, I think he's on Highway 61, that's just southwest of Turon. And, you know, looking at the pictures there, are we seeing a tornado? We got trees that are in the foreground, so we really don't know for sure. But this circulation that's still ongoing here in Reno County is very intense, and we still have every reason to believe that there is a tornado in progress just northwest of Turon. So let's go ahead and go in a little closer, and let's, of course, we already have Turon in view, but I want to talk about what kind of distance we have from where the tornado is to where it is from Turon. So there's Turon. We're talking about 5 or 6 miles to the north of town, and it looks to me like it's probably going to pass just south of Sylvia, but we don't want to say Sylvia is in the clear, because you're not. So we can't give you the all clear there. You need to be sheltered in Sylvia and certainly extreme southeast Stafford County as this thing is really ramped up. When we talk about the wind, you know, switching over into velocity or the wind mode of radar, you can see what we're looking at in the storm center as we kind of assess these images here. That is a pretty hot signature for possible ongoing tornado there, getting ready to be on the Stafford Reno County line. Again, it looks, we can say with a pretty high level of certainty, this thing is going to go north of Turon and south of Sylvia, but it's going to be very close. Do we have Rodney back on the line here? Okay, so we're trying to get Rodney back on the line here as we see the storm. Okay, Rodney's back on the line. Rodney, we're watching your pictures here. Have you seen the tornado?
Oh, Ross, I tell you what, if you had our camera there right now, we've been watching this very closely as we've been traveling up K61. We're past Preston. We're probably 2 or 3 miles south and west of Turon. And I've got it about where I think I mean, we've got a little bit of maybe a little bowl-shaped lowering there, perhaps. I have not been able to see any kind of power flashes, certainly a lot of lightning flashes, but right now, really having a hard time seeing that circulation. It looks so impressive on radar, but so far from my vantage point, it's been a little bit more troublesome trying to find, you know, any potential funnel or anything coming down. But we're continuing to watch it really closely, Ross. Okay, thanks very much. That's Rodney Price. He is just southwest of Turon on 61, so he would be, you know, we'll bring his position back into view. There's Turon, and there's 61 that kind of runs from northeast to southwest, and so he would be looking back toward the storm, easily probably the separation between Rodney and where the tornado, we believe, is probably about 5 miles, so it's not very far. I have a visual of it, but again, given what we're looking at here, this could be wrapped in rain, and so it may be very difficult to see exactly what is. There are a lot of other pictures, some other video that's kind of trickling into the storm center that's not displayed here, that does suggest that we do have an ongoing tornado that's getting ready to move into western Reno County. There you see Sylvia comes into view. But unless there's some significant turn to the northeast, based on the way I have the trajectory here, I think it's going to stay south of Sylvia, but things are probably pretty noisy in Sylvia because of the heavy rain, the hail that may be taking place there. If you're north of Turon and certainly around the Langdon area, north of Langdon, you really do need to keep an eye on what's happening here. We do have this little marker that's popped up here on the screen. That's just the radar kind of sampling and giving us maybe a little bit better estimation of what the hail is in this storm. I don't know that it's going to tell us anything that we don't already know here.
but we'll show you what we've got there. It's got hail size at over 2 inches in diameter with the storm moving northeast. And of course, we do continue with the possibility that tornado debris has been lofted maybe upwards of 20,000 feet into the air. That's pretty substantial. You need a fairly strong tornado to achieve something of that magnitude, and that may be what we're doing here just to the northwest of Turon. So who should be sheltered? Sylvia, areas northwest of Langdon. If you're north of Turon, this is a very, very dangerous storm. Several reports of a large tornado happening with it, and it does continue to show signs of passing over. There you can see it's right here on the Stafford-Reno County line. If we go in just a little bit closer here, let's get some more county roads to come popping up here into view. Of course, there you see Sylvia Road. We've had Langdon Road show up on here as well. To me, it looks like the circulation is just south of Arlington Road now, and it's east of 140th Avenue. There's Neola Road. There's 70th Road. It's north of that location. So looks like it could be right here along or just south of Arlington Road. But you have to remember, what's happening in real time is going to be a little bit ahead of what we're showcasing here on radar, because by the time the radar beam samples the storm, it goes through the processing back to us and gets on TV. What's happening in reality is going to be a little bit further along than what is showcasing here on. That's why we're doing everything that we can to keep you just out ahead of what we're actually showcasing here on TV. And again, it's going to be south of Sylvia where this tornado is likely going to pass. And boy, Peyton, as we bring you back in here, that the circulation, the rotation is really tightening up once again.
Yeah, it is. And we just keep mentioning this evening that this thunderstorm is just plowing along. We're going to consider this a long track supercell storm because it started near Dodge City earlier this evening, continuing into south central Kansas now all the way into Reno County. It's going to be interesting how this unfolds as we head into the next hour or two. As it is now in south central Kansas, the instability is still very high here in Reno County. We're going to see once this gets farther east over toward Newton, toward the I-135 corridor, if there's going to be any signs of weakening, because the instability might start to drop off a little bit farther east, where we've seen a lot of cloud covers today. Temperatures were a little bit cooler, but that's more of a long-term focus. At the present time, we're still keeping a very close watch on this. This is moving east-northeast at about 35 miles per hour, so I do want to get an updated track on it, as it is going to keep moving through Reno County. And that'll put it toward Plevna by 11:56. Partridge would be in the path about 12:15. The current tornado warning goes until midnight. So I think within the next 15 minutes, we're going to see a decision made on whether or not a tornado warning would be issued across the central and eastern part of Reno County. And at this point, that certainly looks possible. We're not there yet, but within the next 15 minutes, we'll have a decision on that. So if you are in Hutchinson, worth keeping a close eye on this, as the tornado is now into the western part of Reno County. You can see that hook right there, just across the county line there, and it's northwest of K61 highway, and moving northeast. So again, you can see that tornado warning there for the western part of Reno County until midnight. We'll keep watching this carefully as it passes through Reno County. Ross?
And Peyton, it is worth mentioning because as Hutchinson view, if you have friends and family that live in Hutchinson, you know, we're coming up on midnight and a lot of people have turned in for the night. Sometimes a phone call, a text message. We just want people to be prepared for a tornado warning to come out for Hutchinson. We're trying to give you as much time as we possibly can. We still have a tornado debris signature on this storm here in western sections of Reno County. So as we bring that back into view, there it is. And again, what area are we talking about? Well, this is going to be south of Sylvia. It's northwest of Langdon. As we get more county roads to come popping up, again, we're very focused on western Reno County right now. There is Irish Creek Road. And of course, we're still west of, let's see, this is going to be just to the east of the Stafford-Reno County line. But let's maybe take the radar picture full screen once again if we can, guys, and just because I want to highlight here where we have the roads. And we've got there west Irish Creek Road, and there's Sylvia Road. That's what I was looking for. So the tornado debris signature is in that area south of Sylvia and northwest of Langdon. We're north of Turon here. Potential that we have tornado debris being lofted into the air, and it's being sampled by the Wichita radar, and that is a bit of concern there as it now approaches the Netherland Road And I just want to make sure that we're getting these roads right. There's Sylvia Road and, of course, Irish Creek Road. It's going to be all too familiar with those that live in this area. We'll see some others pop up on here. Of course, there's West Castleton Road. Pleasant Valley Road is going to be down here at the bottom part of your screen. West Lake Cable Road. We're south of there at the present time, and we're still west of Langdon Road by several miles. So, again, the circulation well defined. Still getting debris that's showing up on radar. We still have a lot of rotation. I mean, this is a storm that has an ample supply of humidity, a lot of ingredients that will allow this thing to keep going. Now, as we saw with the Kiowa County storm, a big tornado sometimes will cycle. Sometimes we'll see the tornado temporarily lift, goes back up into the cloud. The storm kind of has to organize, get its act together, and then later on in its life cycle can produce another tornado. But we're not even sure that the initial tornado that we've been tracking out of Pratt County is even lifted. I mean, this thing, as Peyton was mentioning, has been ongoing now for quite some time. And still, we have every reason to believe that it's happening right now as it approaches Sylvia Road and continues on to the north and east. We're in pretty tight here just to get some more towns to pop up. There's Langdon, Sylvia, Turon down there at the bottom part of your screen. And as we continue further east, Plevna, Abbeville, just trying to bring some smaller towns in view with the concern here that this thing is not going to let its foot off the accelerator. So it does continue on, and it doesn't really show a lot of sign of weakening just yet. So the tornado warning continues across western Reno County now. It is approaching Sylvia Road, and there's Netherland Road. And of course, we're still west of Langdon Road, and there's Plevna. This is, of course, Highway 50, and some of you, that might be more familiar for a lot of you that have traveled from Newton west across Reno County. Of course, Highway 50 connecting back into parts of Stafford County all the way out to Dodge City, too. We're south of Highway 50 here as it continues to go on to the north and east. So this is the last hour worth of radar imagery, and let's just kind of watch it here. This is what we do, is we analyze the radar scans as they come in, and it's going to cross Sylvia Road, potentially, let's see here, this is going to go south of Sylvia, I think, with pretty high level of certainty. It's going to be about 2 or 3 miles south of Sylvia, but it's close. And we don't want to give the all clear to Sylvia just yet. And Plevna certainly comes up into view too. As that storm continues to go northeast, Plevna could be in the path of that storm as well. We do continue watching Mikey Gribble's feed here. He, I believe, is probably on 61. I think if he's keeping up with the storm, he's either on Highway 50 or 61. So at first chance, let's see here. I don't know, Peyton, we might text him and figure out where he's at. But we're trying to keep his picture up, and of course Rodney's picture as well. They're both kind of in the same area. This is, again, the only storm that has a tornado warning with it tonight. So we get the advantage here of just kind of sticking with this one and keeping all of our focus on the minute-by-minute changes that are happening. The storm crosses the road. South of Langdon Road is going to be shortly, and Plevna looks like it is directly in the path of this storm. Let's go up to the current time. We still have several more minutes before the storm is going to... Okay, Rodney, let's go to Mobile Weather Lab. Okay, Rodney, we have you back on the line. Go ahead and give us an update here.
Okay, Ross, yeah, we are coming up on Langdon. Oh, we need to get that.
Okay, so we'll try to bring Rodney back here shortly. Let's keep his picture up. We'll wait for these trees to get out of the view. There was something of interest to me, but again, we're fighting the darkness as Rodney would be and Mikey would be too. It does sound like we do continue with the tornado out there tonight. I think we're still picking up on a debris signature on radar. This is south of Sylvia, southwest of Plevna. And again, we're just going to try to keep that picture up there as we continue on here. I want to keep Plevna in view because that's going to be the next town where this tornado potentially could threaten. We probably have at least 10, if not maybe 12 minutes or so before this is going to get uncomfortably close to Plevna. Abbeville, of course, is showing up in our radar scans as well. And if you follow that path, you know, if that is the tornado right there, it's going to be close for Plevna, but it's just about ready to cross over. It's already gone over Sylvia Road, and now, you know, in the next 5 minutes, Langdon Road's going to come up, and that's, of course, what goes south out of Plevna there in parts of Reno County. We're still trying to bring Rodney back on the line here shortly. Okay, Rodney, we have you back.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead and give us an update.
Okay, we are coming up now. This is Langdon here on K61. Looking off to our north, I've got a large, dark area that, unfortunately, I've got some trees here as we make our way through. But here just a second ago, seeing a very large, dark area with the storm just to our north and northwest. As we get out of town here, hopefully be able to see something here. Again, we're traveling on K61, currently about 6 miles southwest of Arlington or southwest of Hutchinson, northeast of Turon, making our way north and east. And again, we've been traveling along 61 here for the last 20 minutes or so, and really have had a difficult time in seeing features underneath here. I'm going to zoom back out here. You can see the difficulty that we're having right now with some of the trees here in town and just east of there. But what we were concerned about, corresponding with that area of rotation and the hook that we were seeing on radar, was seeing what looked to be a lowering off to our north. Boy, we're just not
okay, Rodney,
right now.
We're going to come back to you in just a second. We've got a tornado emergency for Plevna that we need to get out there too. Again, this is just coming in. Tornado emergency for Plevna now. Remember, this is our second one of the night. If you were with us earlier when the storm was in Kiowa County, we had a tornado emergency for Greensburg. It's not 100% certain when a tornado emergency is issued that a town is going to take a direct hit, but it is the highest level of urgency that we can pass along, and then essentially it's the right decision to shelter from these storms. But you can see as we continue to follow, it's all about the trajectory here as this thing makes its way closer to Langdon Road. Of course, Plevna is going to be next in line. This is the rotation. This is the wind product here of Doppler radar, and this thing is on a path that's going to bring it right into Plevna. You know, this is going to get very, very close here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. You still have some time to seek shelter in Plevna. This is a damaging storm. We have a long history of tornadoes across Kiowa County, Pratt County. We've had damage reported to the north of Pratt. We're still waiting to get exactly what the significance of it, you know, exactly how extensive it may have been, but a tornado warning now for the Plevna area, and the radar circulation is still very, very significant here as the storm approaches the Plevna area. So if you're in the path, you've got to be below ground. That is the safest way to save your life in this kind of situation. If a basement is not an option, bathrooms, closet, we go over these time and time again, but we understand that some people move to Kansas. Not everybody has been through this sort of thing before. Shoes, pillows, blankets, wrap yourself up, cushion yourself from anything that can be flying around. But again, we do have a tornado emergency tonight for Plevna. Peyton, you've got something to add here?
Yeah, well, the rotation obviously looks very significant. We continue to get reports of large tornado on the ground. That matches with the signatures that we're seeing on radar. And I want to show you the radar here real quick. This is the tornado. We won't even call it rotation on radar. This is a tornado in progress here southwest of Plevna. Get a distance measurement on it. There's a new scan just coming in. So 4 miles southwest of Plevna, moving northeast. This is going to be a very close call for Plevna. Need to take your tornado precautions immediately if you haven't already. Don't go out and try and look for something because you're not going to see anything. It's, of course, nighttime, and even if you were relying on the lightning flashes, or you're going to be dealing with the rain right now before the tornado would arrive. But this does remain a significant tornado on the ground, and all that blue that you see right here That is the radar indicating tornadic debris, and that's just a sign that this is an intense tornado. So heads up in Plevna. As Ross mentioned, tornado emergency, not issued very often. That is issued when the Weather Service thinks it's very possible that a town would take a direct hit from a tornado. So Plevna is going to be a very close call. Take your tornado precautions. We'll keep watching this as it moves through Reno County. Ross?
And I think it's worthwhile, Peyton, that we start to get some concern here that maybe we start waking some people up around Hutchinson, South Hutchinson. Of course, that would be the next tornado warning coming, because the one that is ongoing, based on my estimation, and Peyton, correct me if I'm wrong, the tornado warning is until midnight. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think we'll see the
new one issued here shortly.
Here soon.
Yeah, so that's more than likely going to include South Hutch and the city of Hutchinson. But again, if we can give you an extra 15 or 20 minutes to prepare for what might be coming your way. Again, this is a long track tornado that has been on the ground now since it came out of Kiowa County, went across Pratt County, and started to really ramp back up. If we can give you an extra 15 or 20 minutes, it can save lives, and that's what we're all about tonight, is giving you as much time to prepare as the storm gets a little bit closer. Again, it's coming in on Plevna as we speak. There's a new scan just coming in on the radar, and you don't even have to be a trained meteorologist to get a feel for that's it. I mean, that's what we're looking at just southwest of Plevna. We've been seeing some pictures come in over the last 30 to 45 minutes showing some damage in the wake of this storm. We don't know exactly how extensive it may have been, but we're just south of Trail West Road. It's east of Sylvia, so if you're in Sylvia, you're watching this thing pass by to your east. But it's so close to Plevna, and it's unfortunate that Plevna could potentially take a direct hit tonight. So we hope that those of you in Plevna have sheltered, because time is running low to get below ground in this kind of environment. And as again, we continue to watch the sampling of the wind here, but also when we bring the tornado debris signature back into view, there it is. I mean, that is it coming right into Plevna. I mean, it's a little bit concerning to see exactly how this thing is approaching the city of Plevna, but you do need to be sheltered there as the storm does continue to come in from the south and west. When we come back over to this mode of the radar, we haven't been on this particular scan for a little while, and I'll back the scene out here. There's the hook. And because this, we believe, is still a well-defined, well-pronounced tornado, that's the debris right there that's just southwest of Plevna. And as we go in even closer here, you're going to see it's about ready to cross Langdon Road. Rodney's on 61. Mikey Gribble's still out there tonight. We do have some eyes on this. Taylor Wright's still out there tonight. And he was concerned that there was still a large tornado with it, although he wasn't able to say 100% certain that that's what was happening. But we still have an ongoing tornado emergency in Plevna. And again, this is crossing Langdon Road, coming right into Plevna. Your time is essentially running out now in Plevna to seek shelter from this particular storm. As we go a little bit further, because Abbeville, we need to keep an eye on what's going on there. If the trajectory holds, and these things sometimes can take a shift to the east, there's a possibility that that may go just northwest of Abbeville and likely remain to the northwest of those communities there. As we get another scan here on radar and go back in a little closer, of course, Abbeville, and here we have Sterling Road. So this is going to come through Plevna, and there's West Trail West Road, and here you have Morgan Avenue. There's Highway 50, which again is going to be more familiar to most of you tonight. But this tornado is going to go right through Plevna and then cross Highway 50. If that path holds, it looks like it would go just to the west-northwest of Abbeville, but it's so close. So next from Plevna, we have Abbeville, and we have areas that would be just north of there. And again, we are kind of starting to alert those around Hutchinson that it may be time to start thinking about where you need to go. Now, a lot can change. That's the one thing we need to keep in mind. A lot can change, not just with the intensity of the storm, but the trajectory, the path that it's on. So if that thing continues on the path that it is now, it's possible that it slides just west of Hutchinson. But as we've seen a couple different times tonight, these storms can take on a mind of their own. The overall hope is that it does fall apart. It runs into some kind of stable air. It runs into something that will basically choke the thing out. And we have not seen that yet. It is still of concern as it now gets ready to go through Plevna. So we'll be waiting and watching. obviously with a lot of hope that Plevna has been spared and that we don't have a lot of significant damage there. But as you continue to watch the live pictures coming in from Mikey Gribble, Rodney Price still out there tonight on 61, kind of looking at the storm back to the north and west. We're going to wait here and see what happens as the storm goes through Plevna. But Hutchinson, I don't think it's going to be a concern for South Hutch. But, you know, here again, we're watching and waiting, following the stuff as you guys kind of watch this from home too, to see what the overall evolution is and what happens with the intensity of the storm. And it's still very, very pronounced here as it now goes through Plevna. And as we take another look at the sampling of the storm, it has not eased up at all. I mean, it's still just on the accelerator, full steam ahead as it goes through Plevna, and it remains south of 4th Avenue, right here along 50th Avenue. And let's take another look here at the CC, or the debris signature here on radar. I don't know, Peyton, what do you think? It's kind of right over Plevna right now.
Yeah, it is. We're going to have to be maybe listening for potential damage reports within the next few minutes, as the hook, at least, is right over Plevna. Did want to point out real quick that new tornado warning with the tornado emergency they issued goes until 12:15. So it might be a few more minutes before you would get a decision on whether or not a tornado warning would be issued for eastern Reno County, including Hutchinson. So we'll keep a close eye on this, but certainly as of right now, this storm has not been letting up. Again, right over Plevna, and we'll keep watching that as it moves northeast. Ross.
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. We do have Mikey Gribble on the phone. Mikey, where is your location and what have you seen?
I have about 8 miles northwest of Arlington, Ross, and there's some tree cover, so it's tough to get a live shot with the camera, but there is a huge wedge on the ground. It's probably about 3-4 miles off my northwest.
Okay, and you are in Arlington, or where did you say again?
No, I am northwest of Arlington, about 8 miles. Town of it's my northwest, about 3 miles. Abbeville is to my northeast, about 3 or 4 miles.
Okay, all right.
I'm on the back road south of Highway 50, probably about 2 or 3 miles.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Mikey. We'll keep your stream up here as we continue to watch, see if we can see anything. As we've been alerting you, it's in Plevna right now. I mean, the time has run out to find shelter there, and now we kind of wait for the chasers that might be following in behind the storm. Of course, emergency management, law enforcement. Typically, I would say if a community has been hit by a tornado within 15, 20, even 30 minutes, we have some idea of how bad it might be. What the extent of the damage, we don't know, won't find out until tomorrow we get daylight. But if a town takes a direct hit, we tend to find out about it in less than 30 minutes because there are just too many people that are out there watching these storms, and when they come across some damage, we're certainly hoping that's not the case tonight, but it's just such a significant storm and has been ongoing now for quite some time. As we see the rotation now passing through Plevna, getting just to the northeast of there, right here along Morgan Avenue. Here's Illinois Avenue. And let's see, there's Sterling Road that runs north and south. We're northwest of Abbeville. I don't think there's going to be a tornado in Abbeville tonight. That's obviously good. But unfortunately for Plevna, you know, we just don't know what the outcome of this is going to be just yet. But the tornado now looks like it's passing over Morgan Avenue. You continue to watch live pictures there. That's Mobile Weather Lab. Okay, that's what I thought. You know, what are we seeing in that view there? I don't know that we have a tornado in that shot there. That could just be a part of the mesocyclone, if you will, the rotating part of the storm. Rodney's back on the line. Rodney, go ahead and get us an update.
Hey, thanks for being in there with us, Ross. The little cell coverage here has been a little bit spotty. We are north of Highway 61, Fairview Road, just to the east of Arlington. I've got the camera pointed here to the north and west, and trying to see if we've got any kind of power flashes or any kind of lowering. I'm kind of going back from being inside the mobile to stepping out. We've got a little bit of wind here, as you can imagine, so I don't want to have the microphone get too overwhelmed with the wind there, but we've got quite a bit of lightning here. The tornado sirens were going off in Arlington as we drove through. We're about a mile or two east of the city right now, and continuing to look here to our northwest. Again, this is the view looking right now, that's straight north, and then moving the camera around just a little bit there, looking back to the now to the south and west. So let me get this view back to our west. And there's a view looking straight ahead. Like I mentioned, we've got quite a bit of cloud to ground lightning, tornado sirens in the distance. Still not seeing any power flashes from our vantage point. I'll look to Bert Harry, who is commandeering the mobile weather lab tonight. Bert, you see any power flashes over there? Bert does not either. We're continuing to watch it closely, but for right now, we've got gusty winds here, a lot of lightning, storm off to our north and west. Just very, very challenging to see anything from our vantage point, but continuing to watch, and I'll holler if we've got anything here to report, and I'll keep the camera right here on this, on that angle there for you, Ross.
Okay, thanks very much. And for those of you that might be watching our stream, we do understand that some of you might not be able to hear some of the chasers that are reporting into us that's going out over the air on regular broadcast. You'd be able to hear them. Let me just go ahead and update you in case you weren't able to hear Rodney's report. No reports of power flashes from his vantage point from Arlington looking to the north. The storm is taking a bit of a northerly jog, so it's going to keep it north of Abbeville. And we did talk to Mikey Gribble just a few minutes ago. He confirmed a large wedge tornado with the storm. Now, we don't know if it's in fact gone through Plevna or went just west of town. That's something that we may not know for several more minutes, but usually, as I've been saying, within about 30 minutes, there's some kind of initial report, whether it be from a storm chaser, an emergency manager. The flow of information now is so incredible, and usually we hear something. Now, the extent of the damage we're not going to know probably until first light tomorrow. There are going to be some towns that are cleaning up as we face another severe weather threat coming up as we go into Monday afternoon. But it's north of Plevna. You can see the well-pronounced hook here that's showing up northwest of Abbeville. So we can say with a pretty high level of certainty that there's no concern for Abbeville to be hit by a tornado tonight. So who's next in line? Because as it goes north of Abbeville, we're starting to get in closer now to the city of Hutchinson, and we tornado warning issued here momentarily. To me, unless there's some radical shift back to the east, long-term thinking here is that the potential rotation in the tornado would probably remain west or northwest of Hutchinson, but Willowbrook, certainly Nickerson, some of the communities that are coming to mind here that we need to be thinking about as the storm now cuts north of Highway 50 and hasn't really shown a lot of sign of slowing down just yet. The rotation is still very pronounced here to the north of Arlington, north of Abbeville, as we go into the current time here, and we continue to keep the live pictures up. I mean, we're watching, we're waiting to see any kind of power flashes, and it can be difficult to, separate the lightning flashes from the power flashes that would be created by a tornado. So not every flash of light that's going to show up in that view there is going to be a power flash, of course, but we're just trying to bring you what pictures we can, time of day. A lot of challenges here that we face with nighttime tornado chasing and nighttime storm spotting as well. Again, looking at the wind circulation as we continue to show this presentation, there's our new tornado warning popping up. It does not include Hutchinson, but it's now just south of 4th Avenue. We've got Mikey back on the line. Mikey, what have you seen?
Ross, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, I had a pretty good look at the tornado here a few minutes ago, and it's very tough to judge size this time of night, but I'm going to guess probably, I am east of Plevna, 3 miles, and it was to my north, probably 2 to 3 miles. Closing, facing towards the tornado, but you got to get the right type of lightning flash behind it to be able to pick it up.
Okay, you had temporarily dropped out there. Can you tell us again about how big you think the tornado might have been?
I think it was probably about it was like a cone-shaped wedge. I mean, it's pretty much a wedge, but about a quarter-mile wide at the base would be my best guess.
Okay. All right. Again, that's Mikey reporting on the tornado now north of Plevna. This is north of Highway 50, and it does continue to move north. Our new tornado warning has just dropped or just come out, I should say, to be a little bit clear. It's north of Partridge here. It's going to be west of Hutchinson. It does include areas along 4th Avenue, west of Hutchinson. Again, there's the circulation. It looks like it will stay west of Hutchinson. Let's go over to Peyton.
Yeah, so we were just talking about that tornado and what it looks like. Let's show you. This is Storm Chaser Taylor Wright in Reno County. Got a still frame from a video with the lightning, and what you can see there is that probably call that more of a wedge type tornado, as it's pretty wide there. So that's from Reno County. Of course, it looks like it's light out, but this is from a lightning strike being able to illuminate that. That's what Taylor's been seeing there in Reno County, and that's what we've been saying, that this storm is likely, this tornado is likely a larger one, as we've seen the debris signature on radar, the wind signatures on radar, and of course several of the spotters have been reporting a large tornado, and that's what we're seeing here. From Taylor Wright's view. Again, that's with the storm currently in Reno County. Let's go back to the radar real quick and show you what things look like there in Reno County. Again, as Ross just mentioned, the new tornado warning being issued does not currently include Hutchinson. We'll just have to keep a close eye on it as it continues to move northeast. Location there is northwest of Partridge as we look at the wind mode on radar. And it still looks like there's an area of circulation there northeast of Sylvia, northwest of Partridge, and moving northeast. So tornado warning does continue. The new tornado warning, this new goes until 1 o'clock in the morning. So probably got a little while here with this storm that's going to continue in Reno County, and we'll just keep a close watch on it as it's currently to the west of Hutchinson. Ross?
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. I have to wonder with where the circulation is at now, if it's getting absorbed by the rest of the parent thunderstorm, and we're going to see the tornado that we've been tracking now for quite some time, if it basically dissolves because it's moving up into the main part of the storm. Maybe something new will develop out here on the south flank of the storm. We don't know if that's actually what's going to happen, but I think we're going through an interesting phase here of the storm where either it's in a weakening trend, and we're just about done with the tornado that we've been tracking now for well over 45 minutes. That may be what's happening here, because watch as you see that circulation get absorbed, starting to weaken a little bit there. We certainly can't give the all clear and think that this storm is done producing tornadoes, but then maybe something additional is trying to get going out here on the south flank of the storm, where again it's got all of that ample supply of humidity feeding into the storm. It's also entirely possible that the whole thing might eventually start to enter a weakening phase. Of course, we had mentioned a little while ago that as the storm approaches the 135 corridor, it might be running into a little bit more stable air, or in other words, air that is less conducive to keeping this thing going. It needs a lot of wind, it needs a lot of humidity. There are a lot of ingredients that are required to keep the storm behaving the way that it is right now, and if it encounters some cooler weather, there is a chance it may start to shut the overall storm potential down a bit as we continue on through the rest of the evening. But again, our tornado warning does not include the city of Hutchinson, and I think based on the way that this thing is going, it's probably not even much of a threat for Willowbrook, and it's questionable whether or not it even makes it up closer to Nickerson. But for right now, I would say for areas northwest of Hutchinson, we need to remain on guard of what is happening here as we continue to sample the storm, because we think a lot is probably going to change here in the next 15 minutes. Hopefully for the better, you know, where we continue to see this thing weakening. This is the tornado though, and again, it looks like as it continues to shoot more to the north, it is likely going to be getting absorbed by the rest of the storm. And the hook, even though we're still seeing a little bit of a notch over here that is just straight north of Abbeville, you know, this might be something that develops further, but the tornado, the signature that we're picking up on from the wind, is showing up right in here. Well, that part of the storm has a lot of heavy rain, some hail with it, and so that environment might be a bit more cooled and maybe start to shut the tornado potential down. But that's just, you know, we're still in the early assessment here of what's evolving with the storm in Reno County. But again, new tornado warning does not include Hutchinson. Looks like it's taking a little bit of a jog back to the northwest, and so things are looking better for Hutchinson. We have not received, in case you're wondering about Plevna, we have not heard anything yet. But remember, time of day, of course, is important there. But also, this is a long track tornado, so law enforcement could be somewhat sparse, could be somewhat thin tonight. They may be helping with some areas that were hit back in Pratt County. We know there has been some structures maybe that have had some damage tonight based on what our chasers have been seeing out there in Pratt County. And then again, we just don't have a lot of information yet out of Plevna. But obviously, as soon as we get some information here, we'll pass that along to you. We'll send it over to Peyton.
Yeah, just checking in with the newsroom here. They're hearing some preliminary information that there might have been some damage from the Plevna area. So that's kind of preliminary reports. We're still kind of working to gather that information. But that was, of course, a storm here in Reno County that is ongoing as it passed through the Plevna area. We are getting some reports of possible damage. Still kind of early on into the night in terms of exactly what happened in Plevna, how widespread any damage would be. We probably won't know that till a little bit later on tonight or more so in the morning tomorrow, but that's kind of the latest there from the Plevna area. The newsroom is reporting that that there was at least some damage in town, and we'll kind of work more on gathering additional information here as we head into Ross.
All right, thanks very much. On the tornado warning, again, what we're seeing is that is the tornado there that went through Plevna. It's now getting absorbed by the rest of the storm, and so we are likely in the downward trend of that tornado. We don't know yet if something new is going to try to redevelop here, Adams Corner, or north of Abbeville, right here along, let's see, this would be Sago Road and south of 17th, because sometimes what happens with these big storms, again, we've talked about this a couple different times so far tonight, the tornado, the storm itself has to go through an organizing phase, and so the tornado will sometimes get absorbed, fall apart, or technically speaking, we call it a cloud. It basically gets drawn into the storm. The rain-cooled air can shut that initial tornado down, and then sometimes after the storm goes through the organizing phase, we see a new one form. We don't know if that's going to happen with this storm tonight, but I think our new area of interest is going to be right here along Sago Road, or just, well, it'd be north of Highway 50, and this would be west of South Hutchinson. You see Adams Corner. This is going to be familiar to some of you that live in this area, but as we go in a little bit closer, the new suspect area is going to be right here along Blanchard Avenue and along Sago Road, maybe just east of there. We'll see if that turns out to be anything there just east of Highway 14. And again, Hutchinson is going to be over here behind me. This is, of course, K14. And then the area, we'll see if that develops into anything there across just to the northeast of Abbeville. This is going to be north of Partridge and well west of Hutchinson. We want to keep that in mind here. We're not anything into Hutchinson at the present time. This is north of Abbeville and does continue to show signs of moving mostly to the north. So we've had a lot of active weather tonight. I would say in the last hour, this is about as low as the velocity or the wind scans have been. We don't see a lot of rotation with this particular storm, but again, we're not entirely out of the woods because something new could try to still redevelop out here where we have this appendage. So this is a little bit of a hook that's showing up, warm air getting drawn in. The initial tornado that we were tracking that went through Plevna is now buried up here in all of this red up here along 69th Avenue and Sterling Road. So in that environment where it's potentially rain cooled, that you would anticipate would shut the initial tornado down that we've been looking at for quite some time. But now this new area that's popping up here, looks like that's West Clark Road, and it's going to be, well, you see Nickerson coming into view there too. You know, rotating, but the chance that we have a tornado in that area right now looks to me like it's fairly low at this point in time, but it's certainly something that could change here shortly. Peyton, you may have something to add here shortly.
Yeah, just kind of picking up on what you're saying there. What we're looking at here is kind of the hook on the new one that's forming, and that could be the new area of rotation that we're watching develop. Let me just see here and see. I haven't seen, let's see, when was the latest report of a tornado? About 10 minutes ago. So we've kind of lost the very strong rotation signature on radar, and now what we're looking at is what Ross what Ross was saying is that a new area of circulation could develop with this storm. There in the areas west of Hutchinson, south of 4th Avenue on Clark Road. That would be the area to watch right in here if a new tornado were to develop. The environment still favors that possibility. We're not out of the woods yet, but there has been kind of a decrease in intensity here over the past 10 minutes or so. Which is good news, but we're certainly not in the clear yet, and we'll have to keep watching this as it moves up into the northern part of Reno County. Very close, getting closer to Hutchinson right now. We'll put a distance measurement on it. And you can see from the west side of Hutchinson, it's about 9 miles west of town, moving northeast. So I'd say if you're in Hutchinson, just continue to keep a close watch on this storm, and as it's moving northeast. But the tornado warning that's currently in effect goes all the way till 1 o'clock. So we're just gonna kind of have to wait and see here over the course of the next 15 to 20 minutes if there's going to be a new warning extended farther east, and just exactly how that's going to unfold. So we'll just keep watching this here in Reno County. Ross?
Yeah, thanks very much, Peyton. We're hoping that this thing kind of runs out of gas here. As much as we need the rain, we've had a lot of active weather still tonight, and we continue to watch those live pictures. That's again from Mobile Weather Lab. Also wanted to pass along, Stafford County is reporting law enforcement are removing some debris from a residence where individuals were trapped in a basement, but no reports of injuries right now. Let's hope that holds up, but it does sound like there's damage in southeast Stafford County, and law enforcement officials are on scene trying to help some individuals that were trapped in a basement, but it sounds like no injuries there. Again, that is still very early on, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about this as we now move through the early morning hours here on a Monday morning. Still, for those of you up here in Reno County, we feel fairly confident that at the moment there's not a tornado, because the one that went through Plevna, and we don't know if Plevna was hit, we don't know to what extent the damage might be there. We have at least heard of some minor damage in and around Plevna, but it's still very early on. So that tornado would be up here in all of this red. And the area that we're concentrating on now is right here along 17th Avenue, and we'll go in even closer here, and we'll get some more of these small roads, maybe unfamiliar roads to pop up. But here's 43rd Avenue. You're going to see Adams Corner, Hutchinson over here behind me, as we were talking about. It's easily 8 miles west of town. So if there's something that's going to develop in this part of the storm, which would have it now along or just east of 14 and south of 43rd Avenue, and of course we're also picking up. Let's see here. Let's maybe take our full view again, and we'll highlight some of these roads. There you see Nickerson Road, okay, and there's High Point Road. So this is the general vicinity where if something new is going to pop up, this is where it's going to be, because the storm is going through a cycling phase here where the initial tornado was absorbed, and it's way up here at the top part of your screen, and that is not uncommon. We've seen that happen with these big storms before, where it goes through this organized cycling phase, and now we're potentially waiting and watching to see what may come out of this little notch that's showing up on the southeast part of the storm. We're hoping that this is kind of the downward trend of all of this, and some of you are getting some welcome rain, and the threat of a tornado has passed, but we don't have the ability to give you that level of we can't clear you yet from the tornado warning just yet. But right here along and west of Nickerson Road, of course, the city of Nickerson comes into view. Hutchinson, South Hutchinson, we don't have a threat there. And if you watch over the last hour how the radar is progressing this storm, if the storm's going to produce another tornado, which we hope it doesn't, it's going to go northwest of Hutchinson. That we can definitely say pretty high level of certainty there. But right here along 30th Avenue, Nickerson Road, south of Nickerson, west of Hutchinson, still a lot of concern here as we continue to watch the storm move on to the north. It's starting to look like, as confidence is increasing here, that we're done with the tornado here with this storm in Reno County. So good news there, but we've had a lot of it tonight, and we're still kind of learning, as you are too at home, as we try to get some updated information from not just law enforcement, but emergency managers, chasers that kind of come in behind these storms. Sometimes they'll come across some damage, and that's how we find out about it. But we do know there's at least some damage around Plevna. We don't know what the extent of it is just yet as we watch the storm pass to the northwest of Hutchinson. So we'll stay with you for a little while longer. Still, what has not changed over the last little while is that this remains the only significant storm that's out there tonight. We've had some storms go up in McPherson and Marion counties. Those are kind of accelerating on to the northeast. We don't have anything around Wichita at the moment. It's this one storm, hopefully, that it's finally starting to run out of gas here in northern Reno County, extreme southern Rice County. Officially, the tornado warning is still up, but it sounds like things are kind of moving in the direction that we want them to, and that is for lower tornado threat. Still some rain, still some hail out there this evening. So let's see here. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Sounds like they are, in fact, going to be downgrading the warning here shortly. And I mean, Peyton, you're not seeing anything that looks any different.
No, I think they did downgrade the warning, so they're no longer saying confirmed tornado. They're just going now with radar indicated rotation. So the white outline that you saw around the polygon has dropped off now, and now just something that we have to keep watching.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing there. Possible they may go severe thunderstorm warning a little bit further northeast, but at the moment it kind of looks like things are definitely trending again in the direction that we want them to, and that is for a lower tornado threat here as we continue on now through early Monday morning, and storms continue to move off to the northeast of Hillsboro. Haven't really had a lot of ample time to kind of figure out what comes next as we move into Monday afternoon, but we know there's going to be another severe weather threat unfolding as we go into the afternoon. And some of what plays out Monday afternoon does depend on overall what happens with this stuff out there tonight, but things look like they're kind of starting to shut down for the area. And hopefully we don't see anything redevelop. Certainly as we look back to the south, you know, some of you in Wichita know that we do need to keep an eye on northern Oklahoma. There's nothing there tonight. And this is really kind of the last gasp, if you will, of our Sunday severe weather event. We've got some rain that's showing up here in northern sections of Chase County, parts of Morris County. There's some severe thunders, or I should say some heavy rainfall that's happening there. And it would sound like, so yeah, it does sound like the storm that's coming across Reno County is moving into a less favorable environment. So we should be in the clear there here shortly, as we're seeing things overall continuing to weaken there. So at this point in time, I think what we can probably do is continue with our coverage on 12.2. Again, things are really starting to trend down. We do appreciate your patience tonight. Thanks for staying with us. And of course, be sure to stay with us through the rest of the night, and be sure to check in with us for 12 News Monday morning as we find out what extent the damage could have been with some of these towns here in parts of Kansas.
Welcome to Fact Finder Investigates. I'm Dylan Domingue. We are continuing to ask the question of what is being done to ensure flight safety after the tragic mid-air collision in January.